we go on board with... We go have a look, sorry, at Simshady Spadex. Famous BMW
riding around.
you want to see, Hunter.
Yes, I love seeing the BMWs, especially here at Paul Ricard, man. I really believe that German engineering is going to put these guys at a great advantage heading down the Minstrel Straight and into that chicane. I believe we are going to see the BMWs have great runs today.
Yeah, a lot of belief coming in from Hunter today, but one thing to note as well is there is one Ford coming into this lineup of cars today, and that is being driven by Mitchell Cruikshank, the Canadian, who did actually win his last race at the Paul Ricard, but of course we saw them in Hungary and did not finish that race.
Yeah, Matt. Hungary was a mess. We'll just keep it we'll keep it plain. Hungary was tough. A lot of guys going wide, a lot of guys getting into contact, and a lot of messiness. So hopefully maybe we can have a cleaner day at Paul Ricard, but this circuit is not known for clean days, so it's going to be very interesting today.
Yeah, you see at the top left of your screen now of the leaderboard, there is sunny skies predicted today. So I don't think there's too much for these drivers to really worry about on this track today in terms of weather, but that could quickly change. We haven't seen it quickly change so far in some of our other races, but again, the weather randomness being so high, it's really going to be interesting to see if that does change the adaptations that these drivers may have to make.
Yeah, Matt, and we'll see. You got to be on your toes today, especially. We'll see how the weather turns out, but if it stays dry, what is their plan? How do they work out their pit stops? 2 mandatory pit stops today. No tire changes required, no fuel required during the pit stops. So, staying dry, we'll probably see long strategies today. I think that's where my money's going. We're going to have long stints, and we'll see if they decide to take that pit stop midway through the race, or they try and break it up into thirds. Maybe 1/3 through the race, final pit stop 2/3. We'll see how they plan it out.
And I think it's interesting as well how we're going on and watching Simshady Spadex, because he got P3 in their last race at Paul Ricard, but in their previous race they finished P9 at Silverstone after they qualified in 2nd place. And so there was I'm not sure what happened down at Silverstone, but there's a big drop-off.
It was, Matt, and you really have to wonder, is that a fluke, or is that maybe the first in a line of dominoes for our man here? So we really got to be on the lookout. We'll know today if this is just a string of bad luck, or if he's going to grab it and get it back up under him and have a good result today.
We are going to be seeing these first few qualifying laps coming in and through. We've been with Tim Badex across their flying lap, and we'll just see how they are qualifying. It'll be fairly high because the other drivers yet to. Actually, was that his? I don't actually believe that was the qualifying lap, but 157.3 is an okay one, but you can see some behind them are starting to set. Ilya Journet and Nick Padawan setting a 155.8. So, good start from the McLaren driver, and quickly knocked off by Gil Sarabia.
Familiar name, Gail Sarabia up there taking P1-4, now riding on with Michael Blom. Hope Wesley van der Linden's not in this race anywhere. I don't see him so far. Had a little bit of an incident at Silverstone a couple weeks ago. Not letting that one die.
Want to stoke the fires of these 2 races, and look at this, an old familiar face. Wesley back in the Lexus in something that you say is a chip car.
Whoa!
It's a nice little drift there. Maybe not what you're looking for in that Lexus, but someone who has been in and around that top 3 for ages, and I think this is going to be a really interesting battle today between Wesley Chertovincho and, of course, Poma Alex. Wesley not raced on this circuit since September, and only finished P3 in that race, and the last race at Silverstone finished P4.
Yeah, Matt, and you have to wonder, a couple months since September, that's almost a whole year. Has he been keeping on his toes, keeping his P's and Q's in order to race around this racetrack? Pretty technical. You don't have a lot of banking in these corners. So really, really going to be interesting to see who has minded their P's and Q's. And as we see a car go wide behind Veliev Bekir right there. Already seeing some guys have some trouble keeping these machines under them.
Yeah, the Azerbaijani have a good hold of that BMW. Only one finish outside of the top 5 their previous last 10 races, although that does include one DNF as well. So the Azerbaijani is in a bit of form right now, but we've seen how they can do, and we've seen how Veliev Bekir has maybe been a bit of under the weather in these races, shall we say?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, Matt, but today is the test. If you are having a rough time, coming to Paul Ricard is either going to make your rough time rougher, or you're going to come out here and you're going to put on a show. And I want to look at the top of the leaderboard real quick. Both Isinger brothers, 1 and 2. Only 3.92 seconds separate the two.
Yeah, both Marius and Toby in this race. This is Toby's Paul Ricard debut, and it's a good start for qualifying as we see from Alex setting their first lap. It's P4 for now, but only provisional. Marius Isinger, who is now in P3, finished top 2. Had a top 2 finish at Paul Ricard in the previous 4 races, and got P4 at Monza last race. But it was in a McLaren. That really, considering how much we've seen Marius Isinger in that Ferrari, I think when I first read that, I had to make sure it was right, because I was like, Marius Isinger in the McLaren? What is this?
Yeah, it seems that he had a preferential car choice for the last race, but today in that Ferrari, along with his brother, we'll see what they can do today. It's going to be very exciting. 2 brothers in the exact same car, looking to be starting near the same position, Matt. It's going to be very fun.
Yeah, now Marius getting back into P1, 154.1. That is a great qualifying that to put Marius in provisional pole. But someone else who we need to look out on is, of course, the other Aston Martin drivers you just saw there, coming in around after that straight. Rasmus Antonsen is his Paul Ricard debut, and last race finished P8 at Spa, but definitely someone who I'm looking towards in that Aston Martin seat. I mean, it's going to be interesting as well to see the difference between Chateau Vincho, who we've seen dominating this Aston Martin, against Rasmus Antonsen.
Yes, it'll absolutely be very interesting to see another Aston Martin out on the track, and we'll just see how good Certo Vincho is and how good the car is. It'll be a very good benchmark to just see Certo Vincho's pure pace in action. It's gonna be great.
It's an interesting battle for the podium here between Geoffrey Coco Bob and Toby Isinger as well. They keep sort of fighting and switching between P1, 2 and 3, and Marius Isinger I forgot to mention as well. So those 2 Ferraris and that Lexus really having a good time on this track so far, as we go with Stefan van Aalst in that Mercedes, a staple of Van Aalst, and gets into P8, but you can see now here's Chateau Vincho. Just a quick little jump scare of the Aston Martin there, and I think that's enough to put fear into any racer's boots.
Yeah, you hear that Aston Martin grumbling behind you, and you know Certo Vincho's in the driver's seat. It's definitely going to make even the most stoic of drivers quake in their boots.
Especially after the performances we've seen. I actually watched him at Silverstone in one of our other non-streamed races, and it was raining, and no, he didn't even qualify in P1. I think he qualified P2 or P3 or 4, sorry. He still ended up winning in that Aston Martin. It makes you wonder what you've got to do to sort of get rid of Certo Vincho.
Apart from laying the bumper to his back end, man, you just have to be better. And being better when Sergio Vincio is in the race is a very tall order. So it's going to be very fun to see how he tackles this technical track. Very flat turns, too. We'll see how the Aston Martin performs there. Did really well at Hungary last week, so I have a feeling he's going to put on a good show for us today as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about the rivalry between Wesley van der Linden and, of course, Michael Blom from Silverstone, but you want another rivalry from the Hungaroring. We can talk about Marius Issinger and, of course, the rival LS6. Some great racing between those two at the Hungaroring towards the end that eventually allowed just a little bit too hard racing from Marius Issinger. Barely anything in that, and Issinger just breaking track limits, had to get that drive-through penalty, which allowed LS6 to get into the podium positions. LS6 is back today, and it's going to be so interesting to see if this rivalry is carried on.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun to see those two race around each other, man. It was a great battle into the final minutes last week in Hungary. Marius Issinger giving it all he can to catch up with LS6 in third place and just running a little bit wide and getting a drive-through penalty. So we'll love to see more rivalries out on the track today, Matt. It's going to be very fun. We've got about 3 minutes left of qualifying here.
Yeah, 3 minutes left, and Marius Issinger is still in that provisional P1 with 154.107. So still a good start, and Toby Issinger has been kicked out of the top 3 by Gael Sarabia now as we look on board with the Romanian Tom Alex now. But I think this is going to be such an interesting track to see where, because this is a good mix as well of some of the newer guys and the older guys. And when I say newer guys, I don't only mean to Paul Ricard, I mean to full Grip Motorsport entirely. Tom Gigel, the Frenchman in a Ferrari, is his full Grip Motorsport debut here today. And I do think this is a very nice track to make a debut on, particularly because it is that right mix of difficult cornering and trying to keep as much speed as you can in those corners, but as well that back straight is just fun to drive.
Yeah, man, and it's really important, the combination of man and machine on this track, because you'll have to go down that back straight, and if your downforce is too high or you pick the wrong car, you're not going to have a great time. But the driver comes in the technical section, so it's very important to have a good driver-car balance at this track. It's going to be very fun today. And you can see there, Sergio Vincio, I believe that is actually just beating the race lap record there. 153.5. What did we expect, Matt? I expected nothing less.
I'm speechless, honestly. I don't know what else to say apart from what. I mean, how do you beat that? Like, I'm not even saying this as like a question, because I say this every week. It feels like we see Sergio Vincio, and every time there's just no answer.
He's just so good, man. There's nothing you can even say at this point. You just kind of have to stare at it, mouth agape for a second, and just go, wow. That's about all you can do, because this guy is so incredible. Look, he's done. He got his pole lap straight back to the pits. He knows what he wants. Just amazing.
Yeah, and if you want to keep up with Sergio Vincio, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel Full Grip Motorsport. And as well, if you want to get into these races and try and beat Sergio Vincio, I wish you the very best of luck. But you can go to fullgripmotorsport.com, you can sign up there, and also go register for the Discord. Join the Discord and you will see all of the events on there, as well as a fledgling community of races such as Lotus Lucian, the Romanian in Mercedes, another Paul Ricard debut, and DNF'd 2 out of the last 3 races, with the only finish being P11 at Zandvoort.
Yeah, he'll hope for a better result today, Matt, for sure. Definitely will be interesting. I'm very excited to see lap 1. Just see if these guys can keep it clean down into the Verrier chicane. Makes me nervous, but it's about time to figure it out. Final guys finishing up their qualifying laps now. That left side of your board will be set in stone very, very soon.
Qualifying now done. You can see how many people are already in the pits. Gael Sarabia is there to try and make an impact. Alexei Movchan is still remaining in P16. So it's going to be interesting to see how this top 3 changes up, if at all, especially if Gail Sarabia has anything to do with it. Here's Mitchell Cruikshank now in that Ford, coming through the final few corners, and you can see just on that wide corner heading before the chicane. Essentially just before the chicane, apologies for that. But it's going to be interesting to see how Mitchell Cruikshank controls this Ford on this circuit, because personally I think the Ford drives a bit like a tank. I don't like it. But I can understand why you'd want it for a track like this because of how much speed is. Cruikshank now showing that speed onto the start-finish line. P17 right now, and will not move up anywhere else. So P17 for the Canadian here in qualifying, but still have a few more races to go. There's Cruikshank, or I thought they were going to spin after that.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see the Ford doing well on the back straights, especially give it some slipstream, man. That American muscle is going to be screaming. But through the technical sections, can the Ford keep the pace? That'll be the question today.
Yeah, now Gail Sarabia is going to leave that qualifying session. So we have the starting grid. P1, Chateau Vincho. P2, Marius Issenger. In third place, Geoffrey Coco Bob. In that Lexus, Gail Sarabia, P4. Sandro Jachner, someone else who's making their full Grip Motorsport debut in P5. Toby Issenger, P6. Nick Palawan, P7. I believe that is in P8. That is Toma Alex in P8. Michel Blom in P9. Mitchell Cruikshank in P10, rounding out the P10. Stefan Van Ast, P11. LS6, P12. Bit of a disappointing adventure for the Ferrari so far. Valiev Rybak in P13. You have Tim Shadis Badix in P14. Ilya Jone in P15. Emil Antonsen driving the Ferrari this time in P16. Alexei Movchan, P17. You have Tom Seeger, another FGM debutant today, P18. Sam Lewis, number 19. And P20, Lotus Lucian. And just rounding out the grid here, Balint Penguin, who we've not really spoken much about today, P21. Samir Engel in P22. Valiev Bekir is in P23. Rasmus Antonsen in P24. Alan Eisic in P25. Andy Brown to P26. And rounding out the grid, very surprisingly, it's Wesley in P27.
Well, Matt, it's not the first time we've seen him start from... Actually, I guess it would be the first time we saw him start from the back. At Silverstone, obviously, started on pole, got a penalty, dropped right to the back, came back, and won that race. So, Wesley would not count him out one single second today.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a hell of a race, though, to even get back into that sort of top 10, top 5. But, I mean, it's near enough possible to get into that P1, I feel like, unless a miracle happens with Chateau Vincho and Marius Issenger, because you look at, sure, there's a lot of new blood coming in on this track today, but the legends that are there, they're legends for a reason. Like, I wouldn't call them experienced, I wouldn't call them that, I call them legends of this.
Absolutely, Matt. And we're building a community over here. Every week we get bigger and bigger, and these guys' names are being cemented in full grip history every race. So, and I can understand the want. You absolutely want to be on the top because this community is tight-knit. They love what they do. So coming out here, wanting to get a good result in front of your friends and your community, it's great to see.
Yeah, and you can see now we are heading off for the formation lap. Chateau Vincho is the one leading out the rest of the pack in the Aston Martin, and so I'm going to put it to you today. Who do you reckon is going to finish in P1 today?
P1, that Aston Martin's looking very nice to me today, Chateau Vincho. I got to go with my man. I think he's going to hold on, but Wesley, let's see. No, he's starting in the back. I'm going to predict that he will be up in the top 5 before we get to an hour and a half in the race. Little aggressive prediction by me there, but if there's anybody that can do it, I think Wesley's going to have a great time and drive up through this field and show these boys how it's done.
Yeah, I think you're dead on there with Chateau Vincho being the one that is probably going to win this race, because let's be honest, they probably are, with just how incredible they have been throughout full Grip Motorsport and these past few races especially. But as we get in towards this formation lap, as we are now onto the back straight with everyone near enough, and I mean, it's back straight that fills everyone. It's one of the longest, I believe, in motorsport.
It is very, very long, man. It's so cool to see these guys. It's gonna be really, really fun to see them go back down this long straight, and there's gonna be so much slipstream. We'll see how the hard braking goes down into turn 10 down there, but it's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and the Mistral, I mean, on a formation lap, that must be hell. No, I wouldn't like to be there, sat there on the Mistral going 120 kilometers an hour, going, come on, please, I just want the race to start.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. And going down the back now, heading into the final technical section before the start. Woof. Better get your nerves settled and ready, because it's almost go time.
Yeah, and we saw in qualifying how many cars were sort of going wide in not only that time coming off the Mistral, but as well heading into the double throughout the Bourset, going in, coming wide, and having to abandon their qualifying laps. And I think that's going to be a really interesting case for these drivers to have to quickly learn how fast they can really take this and what gears they need to be in.
Yeah, man, it's going to be super, super interesting, especially to see how the drivers may change up their driving style during the race as well. Going to have to keep an eye on that. We'll see if they, I believe they'll stick to their racing lines, but you get a little traffic in the way and that can come apart really fast.
Yeah, I'd say that is a second gear corner there, but then again, that's probably why I'm running a 2:05 lap every time, so that's probably why. But I think as well, this track is also not great for a formation lap. Whoa, Vincho going wide, but as well, look how it looks, like how narrow or how just weird that last corner is to drive on. So we're still going to have people going around that final corner as we go into the, oh, actually no, we're not. Maybe with a bigger grid, slightly bigger grid we would, but not today as we go across the start finish line. Green light is a go, and we are away here at the Full Grip French 90, and it's a good start from Mario Sissenger, who takes that P1 as we go into the first corner, and Chateau Vincho is determined not to let that go, but Mario Sissenger, what a run by them. Gil Sarabia as well, there's a big crash in the back. Lots of spinning.
They have made a mess.
That's gone. There's Journée, that's gone. I believe that was Coco Bob there as well, involved in that. Sandro Jacqueline there as well, but we'll go back to the front now because Chateau Vincho still in P2 trying to chase Marius Issenger, who has had a fantastic start. It's probably one of the best I've seen, but look how quickly Vincho's gaining.
Yeah, that super interesting start there. We had a big mess always going down into that turn one. You know it's going to be tough, and they did not keep it clean this time. Now Chateau Vincho under a little bit of pressure from Gil Sarabia here. Look at that slipstream, Matt. Oh my gosh.
Under a lot of pressure. They're bumped after each other. That's something you see in NASCAR, not in GT racing. But look, that's actually allowed Toby Issenger to get over the back of Gil Sarabia now. So there's a fight now for P3. And Gil Sarabia is having to defend from the other half of Issenger's. Sarabia and Vincho are trapped in an Issenger sandwich, and I'm not sure how well that's really going to end up, because we've seen both of these brothers go in and have some amazing technical ability. Michael Blom has gotten into P5 as well, probably due to that massive accident at the start. You can just see there, Sarabia's holding on for now and getting a bit quicker away from Toby Issenger. Issenger goes wide there, and Sarabia's actually been given a chance to go back in. A little bit too much speed there for Vincho, and already you can see some of that rust coming to this circuit now.
Yeah, Matt, super cool to see these guys come in here already struggling just a little bit. And Gail Sarabia sitting behind Sergio Vincio. You gotta wonder, you saw how good that McLaren was in the slipstream right there. It looked like he had plus 5-10 miles an hour on him. So it's going to be really interesting to see as they come through this technical section what happens down the Minstrel Straight.
It's not often you see Sergio Vincio be outsped by anyone, let alone a McLaren, who I think we sort of think of as having such good cornering.
Wide
and
again!
Vincio's got so wide, and it's allowed Sarabia and Toby Issenger to go forward. And now it's going to be under pressure from Michael Blom. As you see there, Joffrey Coco Bob has a time penalty on the top of your screen there. But Toby Issenger and Gail Sarabia have punched their way into P2 and 3, and Sergio Vincio is going to be under attack by Michael Blom now. I believe Blom has actually overtaken Vincio.
He has, down the straight. Didn't even really need the slipstream. You have to wonder, is the Aston Martin struggling a little bit around this track? Wow.
Now look, Issenger is going to be able to make that pass onto Gail Sarabia, so it's an Issenger 1-2, and you can see that is confirmed. Michael Blom has overtaken Sergio Vincio. This is mad. We were hyping up Vincio so much, and it's just completely fallen apart within the first few laps. Toby is going through and is now 2 seconds away from Marius and P1.
They are battling behind Sergio Vincio right there and Michael Blom. They are fighting for this position. I cannot tell. It looks like Sergio Vincio's gotten back past. He has.
Incredible stuff so far, but now Vincio needs to set his sights on keeping that position. Go back and see Toby Issenger, who's trying to make gains on the brothers. Michael Blom in P5. Now we're going to just go on with for a little while. Nick Padawan has just got a front row seat to all of this that's happening, and Michael Blom is going to be interesting to see what that Porsche can do today. But I mean, if you're already trying to battle with one of the best drivers we have here on form right now, possibly even just one of the best drivers here, period, I think this is a good start for the Porsche.
Absolutely, Matt. Top 5, first couple minutes, no incidents so far, keeping the battles clean. Michael Blom's he keeps this up, he's gonna have a good day.
Yeah, but it's a long 3 hours to go. Oh, 2 hours 55 if you want to be really pessimistic. But Sergio Vincio is gaining time away from Michael Blom as we go down to the Minstrel straight now, and you can see that time difference is decreasing. But I think, well, it's somewhat increasing, somewhat decreasing. But I think as well, Sergio Vincio is actually going to get a bit of slipstream from Gail Sarabia there. Might just be on the tail end of it as we see Toma Alex now, who was involved in that earlier collision on that first lap. Now P21. Not a great start for Romanian at all.
No, not a great start. Not a great start for a lot of guys. That turn 1 incident, we packed them up like sardines over there. Had a lot of guys involved. Didn't look to be too hard of an incident. Didn't see anything too bad. It just looks like a bunch of guys going around, but still not the way you want to start off your race for sure.
See there, Sandro Jacna with a 15-second time penalty as well for causing the collision. Not too sure what happened there, but I think for Toma Alex, the goal is just to try and get back up into that, at least a fighting position, maybe above P10, and you can see the pressure's already going to be put onto Andy Brown there, the Canadian, who's just going to make way, and the Lamborghini is going to go through fairly easily, although Andy Brown is going to keep his nose in it and try and force Toma Alex into some of these unfortunate lines, but Alex does get the move done.
Yeah, man, you can see riding on board with Jeffrey Kokobab here in the Lexus. He's going to go on the inside. I believe the Lexus is going to have some good performance here today as well. It reminds me kind of the BMW. I think they're going to have a similar performance here. Look, but earlier I said BMWs were going to have a good race. They're sitting at 12th, 13th, and 14th right now, as well as 19th. I don't know how well my prediction is going to play out, but we shall see.
Yes. Samuel Angle is seemingly going a bit slower, so I'm not sure if they were involved in that massive turn 1 collision or whether it's just a bad setup or what, but you can see at the top of your screen, Velia Becky gets a 15-second time penalty for a bad rejoin there. Not sure if that will cleared by the stewards, but you see Engel's having so much pressure put on by Andy Brown now, and this should just be an easy overtake for the Mercedes down the Minstrel Straight. I mean, you can see how much time Mercedes is gaining over the back end of Engel, and the pole is going to have to maybe give way, although actually Minstrel Straight is about to end and Engel has still got the nose in front, and Andy Brown is going to be forced away, remaining in P20 so far.
Yeah, man, some good battles going on. First couple laps of this race, lap 3 now. We've seen guys trying to get settled, trying to find their spot, trying to find a place where they can run their laps and not have to worry, as we see number 4 drives off the track going a little wide there in front. Back on board Sergio Vincho now.
Yeah, Sergio Vincho getting back up into P3 now. He's going to try and make a move on to Toby Issenger to turn 1 now, and looks to have that inside line and will make that move with a good amount of ease, but Toby is not wanting to let this go, but gets a bit loose on that exit, and so Vincho has now got that space, and Toby Issenger, this is basically a repeat of that first lap, where now Toby Issenger is going to have to try and defend against Gael Sarabia, as we now look at LS6 and P3 in our last race at Hungaroring, now looking to put pressure onto Nick Padawan.
Yeah, LS6 did really well last week trying to hold on. Oh my goodness, and Sergio Vincho has gone wide! He is off track!
Yeah, Vincho's gone off. I'm not sure what happened, but now Vincho's in P7, and you can see the unfamiliarity on this track. This is not good for Vincho, as Michael Blom now goes into P3, with Gael Sarabia P4, Nick Padawan into P5 now, and all of a sudden, the landscape of this race has changed once again.
So Matt, he is human. He does make a mistake. It happens. Well, Sergio Vincho's definitely got a fight on his hands, falling down 5 positions in 7th place now. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, and the saying that I never really thought would be applied to, if it bleeds, you can kill it. And I think that is what we're seeing Sergio Vincho, with what's happening with Sergio Vincho right now with these mistakes, since we go on board with Gael Sarabia. You can see behind him Nick Padawan at LS6 getting into a bit of a scuffle for that P5 position, but it will remain in the hands of Nick Padawan, who is also making the Paul Ricard debut, and as well finished P3 in the last race of Silverstone, but did not finish that last race at Hungary for Nick Padawan. So a lot of pressure coming in on that McLaren, but with the Ferrari, P3 podium at the Hungaroring, now has to try an attack forward whilst defending against Sergio Vincho.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough spot, especially Sergio Vincho's fast, and he's going to have that speed once he gathers himself. So LS6 probably just trying to keep a gap, even though, once you get on the straight, that slipstream's going to bring him right to the back.
Yeah, and we'll be bringing you a replay of what happened with Sergio Vincho on this exact turn, actually. So you see, there was a bit of contact between Issenger. I don't think that was intentional. I think that was just Vincho going slower than Toby Issenger actually thought so. I believe so. It's going to be interesting to see how the stewards review that one, as Vincho looks to be losing time on the Minstrel Straight once again.
I don't know if that Aston Martin's really got the speed. You see that massive rear wing provides a lot of downforce, but can definitely be a hindrance on those long straights. So we'll see if Sergio Vincho is going to be able to make his time back up in the technical sectors, because I believe that's where he's going to perform the best.
And look at this now, a 3-way battle for P2. Michael Blom and Toby Issenger will get into it, but now Gael Sarabia has just decided that they want to try and tag along. The Mexican now looking for a good way to make their Paul Ricard debut. Back-to-back P6 finishes in their last races in Hungary and at Silverstone, and could be looking to get an early P2 or even P3 here as we go around the final chicane. And Issenger is doing a good job of it so far. Toby, the less experienced of the Brotherhood, I would say, but still someone not to be scoffed at, as you see Michael Blom just having a look there and not wanting to make that move into turn 1. so it will be remaining in Toby Issinger's hands to not make that mistake. And see the time difference between Michael Blom and Gael Sarabia now, but I think Michael Blom is just carrying too much speed into this.
He is, and I was wondering, maybe is he trying to play mind games a little bit with Toby here? Maybe get him a little rattled, possibly, you know, late braking, get the guy in front of you, thinking that you might be sending a dive bomb or some other kind of maybe ridiculous kind of move. I don't know. It just, maybe he doesn't have that Porsche quite under him yet. It's going to be interesting to see how he runs the rest of this race.
And two battles now, Porsche versus Ferrari at the top of your screen, and it will be Michael Blom who has the straight line speed over the Ferrari, and so will make that turn. And Gael Sarabia's having a look as well. You can see at the bottom of your screen, there's another Ferrari in a battle with the Aston Martin of Certo Vincio now. You can see at the top of your screen, Michael Blom gets into P2, but it's a very wide corner there. And so if they're going to allow Issinger and Sarabia back in, and another wide corner for Michael Blom,
my gosh,
allows both of them back in, and so Michael Blom goes from P2 to P4, and Gael Sarabia benefits and gets back into P3, but Michael Blom's not done yet. Wants to have another bite of the cherry, and so they're going to look to the outside, look to the inside, try and find out where they can exploit this McLaren, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it here, not just yet. We're going to have to wait for the menstrual straight once again.
Yeah, Michael Blom, like we said, that Porsche looks a little squirrely. He's going to have to work to get that car under him, make sure he does not go wide like he just did there and lose 2 spots, especially when you're up there battling for a podium. It's a tough, tough break for him.
Yeah, tough break.
Whoa!
You see Michael Blom's descending it on the outside there of Gael Sarabia, and it's not going to be the move made just yet, but Michael Blom still looking to try and fight this. And I'm going to bring you an update as well, because as you can see at the bottom of your screen is Wesley, who has gone from last to P7th with the fastest lap of the race, 154.715 for the Lexus. So, I mean, you said about watching Wesley, making sure they can, well, seeing if Wes can actually get in, back into this, and I mean, certainly so, and is now just behind Certo Vincio, so this battle could be seen much quicker than we anticipated.
Matt, I am so excited. The adrenaline is pumping for me. We've got the 2 heavy hitters that we know of so far in our time at Full Grip Motorsport. Wesley, Certo Vincio. 15 minutes into this race, we get to see the battle we've all been waiting for, Matt. I cannot wait, and here it comes.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how much time it looks like the Lexus is gaining on the Aston Martin, and so this is going to be a real struggle between these 2 powerhouses. Vincio, I thought was going to go wide for a second, but just about holds it. And Vincio as well is getting held up a lot by L6, who is doing some fantastic defending to keep this Aston Martin away off the back heel, especially considering how much pace that Aston Martin does have. Here's Gael Sarabia looking to make a move on the outside of Toby Issinger, perhaps looking to now go towards the inside. We'll get the nose in, and Toby Issinger has to leave the space, but now it's just going to be on the inside. Sarabia forced out wide again, now has to try and defend against Michael Blom. This battle has been incredible between these 3, and Michael Blom is keeping the nose in, not wanting to let Gael Sarabia go for free. And look at the pace, it is actually going to catch the slipstream of Toby Issinger, but has to succeed for now. Let Gael Sarabia keep this P3 spot and allow the McLaren to just go gallivanting just a bit ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about the battle at the front of this field. P2, 3, and 4, Matt. You can throw a blanket over them. That's how close they are through most of this lap. It is such good racing.
Yeah,
ooh, almost contact there.
Indeed.
Goodness.
Yeah, the contact. And you see Geoffrey Coco Bub is going to get a 5-second penalty for bump drafting, which we did see earlier on. But look at this now. Gael Sarabia now has to defend against Michael Blom, and could even be forced to try and defend against L6, although look how fast, look at the speed of these cars compared to L6, and there is a touch in the back there from Michael Blom, and Sarabia now tries to defend, but look at how much time these 2 cars are gaining on Toby Issinger, and it's created this weird, it's created a weird sort of turn of events now, and Sarabia shot it down the inside and has gained into P3. Look how close LS6 has got as well. They want to be a part of the battle.
Michael Blom!
There's contact between Toby and Michael Blom.
Oh no!
Blom sends it into Toby Issinger, and both cars have spun. And Michael Blom has gone from bad to worse so far this race, but is benefiting LS6 once again.
Oh man, I could tell he went too deep into that corner, just lost the front end of that Porsche, got a little loose and got into Toby. I know Toby is not happy. Decent recovery for him up into 7th now, but Michael Blom dropping all the way back down into 11th. A costly mistake as we see Wesley and Sergio Vincio battling it out.
Yeah, off camera, Wesley did get an overtake on Sergio Vincio. It's now going to be interesting to see if the Lexus can hold off against this Aston Martin that has been just dominating for Grip Motorsport as of recent, but maybe it just needs a more veteran presence to sweep them away. And you can see Wesley doing that right now in that Lexus. Still has that fastest lap in now. I mean, you can see the time being gained in these corners as well, and you can see there at the bottom right of your screen, Jandro Drakner, who's making their full Grip Motorsport debut. A lot of damage to the front, not going to go to the pits yet, but a lot of damage to the front there. I'm not sure if that came from first lap or if that was racing. You did see another car behind them go into the gravel, so perhaps that is the case. But now here we go, Lexus versus Aston Martin. Who is going to get the better straight line speed? And it looks to be Vincio gaining, or at least keeping the distance. It doesn't look like there's a massive gain in speed, but now look at this. Vincio is sending it into the outside of Wesley, but doesn't. He has to have that slipstream because otherwise the car just can't keep up. And you can see that Lexus swiftly going through. Vincio not able to keep the speed coming off of the straight, and Vincio is just having to remain in P5 until Wesley goes wide. And now that's open the door for Vincio. Gonna walk right through, but Vincio now goes wide. Both cars taking a turn, and Wesley given the position back after the mistake, but now Vincio is in a fighting position now, goes on the inside there, but Wesley has a much better exit and will get that P4 position back just about.
Clash of the Titans, Matt. These guys are giving it everything they got. Sergio Vincio right up to the bumper, exiting turn 13. Oh my goodness. Oh, you gotta wonder how much are they gonna work together as well, because they know it is very important to go down that back straight with a partner, with a slipstream. That's going to allow you to stay on the bumper and keep those lap times high. Going through their solo, you may not have as much speed. So, you gotta wonder, maybe is Sergio Vincio, knowing he's slower on the straights, working with the fast driver of Wesley here to maybe catch up back to the front of this pack?
Yeah, perhaps so. We see these two. I mean, you'd think they come in here and be enemies. How long this alliance does last, but meanwhile, Toby Issinger, who was in that early classroom with Michael Blom, now in P7, and Blom down in P11. So neither driver going out very well at the end of that stint, as you see now on board that bumper of Wesley. To see how difficult it is for Sergio Vincio to catch up. These are words that I never thought I'd say, in all honesty.
Yeah, and I really believe it's probably because of that Aston Martin, man. That rear wing is so large, and so you could see how much bigger it is than the Lexus is there. It's just so wide, it's creating so much drag, slowing that car down. Wesley almost going into a spin there, managed to hang on to that car as we ride along board Joffrey Kokobob.
Joffrey Kokobob now going into the outside of it. Journey fighting for the 12. Kokobob did have that penalty and still does. Looks to try and fight away at Elias Journey in the BMW. There's a bit of braking there, which Kokobob didn't really expect, but Journey, another poor car debutant, is Toby Issinger loses it again. I'm not sure if there was contact between him and Nick Padawan, but Issinger looks to lose the back end there at least. Them and Padawan are really going at it. Issinger determined to try his positions back up, but Joffrey Kokobob is now looking to make this move on Elias Journey. And Toma Alex, someone who was warned about in the pre-show, but how fast the Lamborghini driver really is now, just behind the two cars, waiting for a time to pounce. Romanian hasn't been here for a while at full Grip Motorsport, but when they have been, it's been an incredible watch. You see now Toma Alex is the one putting pressure onto Joffrey Coco Bob, the rear bumper.
Toby.
See there, Toby Issenjik has a 5-second penalty for causing a collision, so not too sure if that was relating to the incident with Michael Blom or what that was, but either way we'll go to the incident. I actually believe it might have been the incident, and I get the word in from my broadcaster that it was probably to do with that Chateau Vincho incident. Honestly, probably was, but you can hear as well now the pit window now open, so I think some of these drivers with damage are going to look to try possibly make an early pit stop here. And you can see Toby Issenger, Padawan's gone wide. Again, I don't know if there was contact or if it was Padawan just losing the back end, but Issenger getting another place there, and this is there's a lot happening off camera with Toby Issenger that I'm not going to say they are involved in, but I think it's weird how they're involved in that Toby Issenger is there, and when he's a lot. When I can speak English, I'll actually continue on.
Well, but it's really interesting because twice, maybe a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. So definitely very interesting. Circuit Vincho shooting it up the inside might have this spot here over Wes Lee. We'll see.
Yeah, Vincho does have the place for now in P4, but Wesley going to look to try and get back in to this Aston Martin. We've seen how closely contested these two are, the number 95 and the number 11 coming in. As actually not the number 11, I've completely forgotten the numbers. I'm just having 54. There we go. There's the number of Wesley and that Lexus. Get there in the end, but this battle has been interesting, and this is like watching a chess match rather than racing, because I mean it is. You've got to figure out when to make these moves happen and when to just let go.
Yeah, and Wes Lee struggling a little bit, losing a little bit of time to Sergio Vincho here. He's almost falling out of the slipstream. He did not quite, seems to have caught it here and is catching back up, but he was extremely close to not being able to get in that slip. Very good on Wes Lee for making up the rest of his lap and getting a good run down the Minstrel Straight, staying within a couple seconds of Mr. Sergio Vincho. Going wide again, man. That Lexus is strong. Seems unwieldy, too. Oh, I thought he got loose. My goodness, Matt.
It didn't look like it, and as well, those little markers you saw coming out of the Minstrel Straight into Corbe de Signé, those little markers on the side are the out of the track limits, basically. If you are outside of them as you go past them, then you are outside of track limits. If you are just inside them, then you are fine. But you can see now Chateau Vincho putting a lot of pressure on L6, and this could be a domino effect. And I think if Gareth Rabb is looking in the rear of the mirror going, oh, that's not good, I think that would probably be the case here.
Yes, 4th and 5th have caught 2nd and 3rd. It's going to be a very interesting battle here. We know we've got the two legends in the back. Got some younger fellas up front. Gail Sarabia doing his best to hang on to P2 right now. But as long as these guys are close heading down the Minstrel Straight, they're going to stay as a little pack. Stay together.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see on the Minstrel Straight just how fast some of these cars are compared to others. You see in the Michael Blom getting a 10-second time penalty for that earlier incident with Toby Issenger. Now here we go, the Mistral Straight, 4 cars that we know can do a lot of damage in terms of straight line speed. How will they do? And they're all fighting one another. McLaren goes first, and we'll go see how that result ends up later as we go back with Toma Alex now. He's still fighting Ilya Journet as we go in towards the Mistral Straight. Now we'll go back with this pack as L6 is the one to make that move into P2. Sarabia just doesn't have the straight line speed there, but he's going to look to try and get back in. And you can see at the bottom right of the screen on the Mistral Straight, Joma and Journet going head to head as well as Vincho makes the pass into Sarabia. And this could just be Sarabia losing 3 places as Wesley is right there looking for that P4 position as well. Goes on
He's
the
gonna
inside,
take
and Sarabia goes wide. And there's an easy taking for Wesley. And so, Gael Sarabia knocked down 3 positions there. LS6 moves up into P2.
Very good battle. P2 through 5 here. Gael Sarabia getting the short end of the stick this lap. We'll see what he's got for the next laps. We all know with that minstrel straight and that slipstream, this could change at any point. So these guys are going to stay so close together. Gael falling back hard. You got to wonder maybe there's an issue somewhere, maybe not with his car, but maybe with the driver. Maybe lost focus for a second or something like that. But he's right back on him now. That McLaren real fast through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, you can also see at the bottom right of your screen there's Elie Journet as well as Toma Alex, sorry. Not sure where I got Armour from, but Toma Alex, and just fighting with Joffrey Coco Bob as well as you go into the pits. And there is Joffrey Coco Bob going into the pits as Sandra Jatner gets a 5-second penalty as the back of Wesley and Gael Sarabia. We didn't miss that. Sarabia getting back into B4, but now Wesley, you would assume, overtakes Sarabia on the Mistral straight, and yep, it looks like that's going to be the case because not even halfway through, and Wesley is making this overtake already as we begin to head towards Courbe d'Issigny now, and you can see up ahead LS6 having to defend from Certo Vincio as well. It's going to be really interesting to see where these positions end up. Wesley does nab P4 and LS6 will lose out to Certo Vincio, who retakes that second spot, and so still down 1 from pole position, but Vincio is starting to make his way back to first, although an 11-second time difference is going to be crucial as we see Stefan van Ast now in that Mercedes fighting with Michael Blom as we go into double droit about to be going into Virage de Bendor, and Van Ast is trying to make this Mercedes work in P10 and not doing a great job so far.
I'd say P10, especially avoiding that first lap start. 30 minutes into this race, I think he's about where he wants to be for now. Alive with potential. Sitting behind Michael Blom. Michael Blom up 2 positions since his little incident not too long ago. He's going to try his best to get back into this race. 2.5 hours remaining.
2.5 hours to go. That pit window is still open. Stefan van Ast looks to try and make this move up ahead onto Michael Blom. But speaking of moves being made, here's Thomas Alex looks to retry this move onto Elie Journet, now the French driver coming, or the BMW driver, sorry, coming in. Still not able to get that move in as Emil Antonsen is going to get a drive through a penalty there. Alex is really struggling to get past Elie Journet there, who's doing an excellent job defending in that BMW so far. And with someone as pacey as Alex, I think, I want to say it's just a matter of time, but we've seen how much that Alex has already been held up there.
Yeah, man, and I believe these Lamborghinis are struggling. I did not have them doing too well coming into today. Our highest placing Lamborghini right now in 13th with Thomas Alex. The others sitting in 20th, 21st, and 23rd. 3 of our final 4 drivers on the grid still running are in Lamborghinis.
Yeah, it's definitely something to take a note of. As Thomas Alex is still trying to go forward. You see that time penalty for Berlin Penguin, and I can safely say that is because of ignoring visual cues, so that blue flag coming in. Thomas Alex still struggling to make these moves either on the straight or on these corners.
Yeah, Journet is not making it easier for him either. Making that BMW very wide, and Thomas Alex goes off track.
Yeah, off track. And Alex now, I think this might just be some mistakes coming out from Alex, whether that's due to frustration or what, I'm not sure. But you can see there's Journet going very wide as well, and Thomas Alex might finally have the opportunity they've been asking for. The Romanian goes on the outside, but still not able to make anything stick, and yeah, now it's just going to be Alex heading into the pit.
That's probably his best move there, getting stuck behind that BMW. Journet for a good little while, he says, all right, I'm going to reset. I'm going to go ahead and take my pit stop, take a little moment, refresh, and get back out there on some fresh tires as well.
Yeah, and you know, we now focus on Emil Antonsen, who is a driver that we've not really seen too much of in these past few races, but it's a fact I want to point out for the Swedish driver. Last race, they qualified in 21st. Do you want to have it at Spa? Do you want to have a guess on where they finished?
I don't know if it was first. We'll go 21st.
No, finished P3 after qualifying 21st
Oh, wow.
at Spa. So a fantastic
Emil.
race there from Emil Antonsen. And the Swedish driver looking to try and carry on, but now look at LS6, who is going to be under a bit of pressure now from Wes Lee.
And Wesley and
See how
Sergio Vincio
much-
up there where we thought they'd be.
See how much pressure Wesley is now starting to put on LS6, who is, I don't want to say starting to feel the pressure, because we've seen a lot of ice in the veins, but you can see at the bottom of your screen there, but Alex is going to be rejoining from the pit lane, so it's going to be interesting to see if there is any chaos between Alex and these three ahead. And you can see Yaros Sarabia has actually fallen back a lot there. I'm not too sure if that's just through pace or if there's an issue with the car or what, but these drivers are going to start to come into some back traffic now, and it's going to be a really interesting thing to see how that affects all three of these drivers, because even the slightest bit of slowdown will be crucial. And see it in the bottom right, Emil Antonsen goes to the pits now as well.
Yeah, man, it's going to be extremely fun to see what these guys do. I'm super excited to see Sergio Vincio and Wes Lee. I imagine they will get past LS6 eventually. Doing a great job holding off Wes Lee for the moment, though. But going down Minstrel with the slipstream, Wes Lee going to have that Lexus screaming. I don't believe he might be close enough to make a move. I don't think he will this lap, though. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Oh, I was wrong. I was extremely wrong.
Right on looking at the bumper of LS6 there, within touching distance, literally. You can just see Wesley forcing the way through, as it's another penalty for Penguin causing a collision. I believe that's actually a failure to hold brakes as well after a collision, so I think that's more the reason as to why that penalty has been given. But Wesley now moving up into P3, and so Marius Issenger, Sergio Vincio and Wesley, your front three, and look how much pace Marius Issenger has in that Ferrari, 12.5 seconds ahead of Sergio Vincio.
Yeah, he's had clean track this entire race, so he's just been out there putting his laps down, trying to get as far in front of the field as he can. But you got the vets, you got the legends coming up right behind you. The two best racers I've seen at my time at Full Grip Motorsport in P2 and P3. Marius has got a job to do, and he better keep that pedal down and that car straight.
And in the pre-show before we went live, I was saying about how the battle between Sergio Vincio, Wesley, and then Toma Alex is going to be a bit like the opening of Cars, where they go the rookie, the runner-up, and the legend. Actually, I feel like it's not less so Toma Alex, and more Marius Issenger, Sergio Vincio, and Wesley coming in as those three names.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be super, super fun to see how this turns out. I've had a massive grin on my face just watching these two run these laps. Two of the best sim racers I've ever seen getting it done today. And, of course, we have the iconic Chips car. Man, you couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, your favourite. I feel like this should be my favourite instead, but, you know, me being the Brit here. But, you know, I'll take it being British anyway, as SimShade Badex gets the time penalty on the top of the screen for some avoidable contact. Yeah, we'll say that.
Whoa, Wesley!
Wesley. Almost having to hit the markers.
Almost overcooking the chips there, buddy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Almost. Maybe they just didn't like the news of you being an honorary Brit, so maybe we'll have to review that after this race. But Wesley still looking to try and make time onto Sergio Vincio, and LS6 is staying in and around this fight, although I don't think he's going to be getting too much involved now.
And for LS6, you just have to be proud that you held off Wes Lee for so long, and you're staying up here in this fight, P4, with Marius Isinger, Sergio Vincio, and Wesley in front of you, man, that might as well be P1 on a regular day. You are doing just fine.
Yeah, and it's something that we've been noted as well with LS6, how good that defensive manoeuvres have been. We saw that at the Hungaroring last week. We're seeing it now at France, and even though they do end up losing the positions, LS6 I think can take a lot of comfort in that as we go back and see Michael Blom now, who was involved in that earlier incident with Toby Isinger, now looking to make a move on Michel Cruikshank in that Ford, who has stayed in a steady P7 throughout this race.
Yeah, let's give him his flowers too.
Through. Yeah, I'll leave that to you then.
Yeah, I mean, look at that Ford P7. I know he started P17. He made a good bit of positions on that opening lap stack up we had, but he's got that Ford rolling. Not too far behind Toby Isinger. I believe he's around 9 seconds. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm impressed with the way that Ford's rolling today.
Yeah, but it's going to have a lot to deal with on the Porsche.
Absolutely.
And now Michael Blom is going to come forward, and the Ford is one of the fastest GT cars here right now, but still being outpaced by Michael Blom. You can't rely on straight line speed for everything in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and you can see Michael Blom is showing that off with a lot. I mean, it's highlighting it near enough as Cruikshank goes a bit wide, and Michael Blom will take P7, one position away from Toby Isinger now, as Sergio Vincio and Wesley having a bit of bumper-to-bumper action now as they are getting involved with the back markers. Vincio does end up going a bit wide, and that is the number 20 of Tom Schiegel now, who is making their Grip Motorsport debut. The Frenchman is now on this back straight, currently sitting in P17. But doing an okay job so far, and ends up getting into Wesley, and I think that's actually going to affect Wesley more than anything, because it looked like Seagull just went off the track under no pressure and got into the side of Wesley, and so it's going to be interesting to see what damage the Lexus has there.
Yeah, what a mistake there. That is not something you want to do, especially drive off track, run into the P3 car. That's a tough. And we got a replay of that coming up right now. Let's just see.
Yeah.
Oh my.
You see Seagull? I mean, Seagull is very much off track there. Not sure what the plan was. Maybe just a lapse in concentration, maybe. But either way, Seagull has definitely ruined their race, and possibly Wesley's. But we're going to have to see how that goes on. See if that Lexus is any more slower.
Yeah, it wasn't the hardest contact, but still, you do not want any damage on that race car. I know Wesley is not particularly excited about what just went down.
Yeah, it's be interesting to see as well what the stewards will give for that. I think there is definitely going to be a penalty coming for that, as we go back with Marius Isinger, who's still 12 seconds ahead of Sergio Vincio, and yeah, you can see that penalty. Tom Schiegel stop and go for 30 seconds because of that, and I think it has actually been increased from what it would normally be due to the corner cut there that was there as well. But
yeah, just a horrible mistake.
Marius, we'll focus on the good here, and the good here is Marius Isinger going on a hell of a run on that Ferrari, but it's going to be as well interesting. You mentioned in the pre-show about how these pit stops are going to come in, whether they're going to come in thirds or what. Is this going to be the case for Marius Isinger after taking such an extensive lead here?
Yeah, you got to wonder, when is he going to pit? Oh, man, and only 2 mandatory pit stops today. I believe he's going to ride it for a hot minute. I wouldn't expect to see him until under the 2-hour mark. Possibly even, I know Sergio Vincio's coming. He's coming on a rail, too.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens with Isinger in regards to these pit stops, but that is going to be something for another time. As we see now on the Mistral Straight, you can just see ahead of Isinger there is one or two. I think there's actually only one back marker there. I'm not sure which BMW that is. We'll get you. I believe that is actually the BMW of Alec Ryback, but
I think that is Engel,
else.
the number 4 of Engel, I believe.
Might also have to mention that soon. Here's Sancho Yachner, who qualified in P5 and was involved in that big old racing incident in lap 1. You see now, making their full grip debut is all about pride now, as Yachner's going to try and make this move onto Ryback, so it wasn't Ryback. You can see now making this move on back straight, and Yachner looks to be able to get this move done, although Ryback's going to come in on this inside.
It's going to be close.
They have the inside line going into Côte d'Isigny, but Yachner is going to make the move stick and get into P18 now, looking to try and get over the back of, I believe that was Ile Journée, but I actually don't think that is. I'm not sure who that is as of right now. I believe that actually could be... No, I actually have no idea.
Yeah, but it's hard to tell some of these guys. Oh, Wesley!
Now Wesley,
oh, right on the
looking to make a
bumper!
move on Certo Vincio, but is it wheel-to-wheel racing there? And Wesley is going to get nothing out of it just yet, but I mean, this is great for Marius Issenger in first place, that these two are fighting, slowing each other down, especially on a straight like this, the Mistral straight, where now Wesley has this pace advantage, and look how quickly that Lexus is closing in on the Aston Martin. Is going to look to make a move, and Certo Vincio, I think, backed out of that move a bit, and so Wesley has got the overtake.
Oh, goodness!
Vincio's off. I'm not sure what's happened with Vincio, whether is he going to be a retirement or not, whether there is some issues or what, but he's now just returned to the garage. But I mean, that is interesting to see what's happened with Certo Vincio there, because I mean, it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the Aston Martin, but Vincio had just stopped.
My goodness, well, that did, wow, I'm stunned. Maybe we'll get word on what happened soon, but it looked like he just pulled off the straight, put it in park. Oh my gosh.
We'll have to see what that's about with Certo Vincio, because that was just a return to garage movement, but for now Wesley is back in P2, and whether, you know, Vincio, I mean, I'm assuming Vincio must have had some kind of damage that was really hurting the Aston Martin in that race against Wesley, or what. I'm not sure what exactly it was, or whether we're even going to see retirement here perhaps, but it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the Aston Martin as well. Vincio was setting fastest outs of the race, set a 154.495 there. And I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, it's not every day you see the car in P2 pull off the side of the straight and go back to the pits. Wow. Very interesting. That shakes up the entire dynamic of the front pack. Wesley now, no one to focus on. Gotta go catch Marius now. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. That was just crazy.
Yeah, and now Marius Issenger, the P1 position is threatened now, because Wesley doesn't have to fight anyone else. And neither do you, but you managed to get a 13-second time difference, sure. Wesley now is coming back, and you can see Valek Ryback there getting a drive-through penalty as well. What for? I'm not too sure. We'll have to bring that back up when the information is present, but you can already see how much time Wesley is gaining out, and I believe that was a retirement there from Certo Vincio. No, still in the race for now, I believe. No, Vincio is still there and is now coming out of the pits, so I don't know what's happened there, whether that was just the car feeling really bad, but we're going to have a replay, I believe, of Certo Vincio just getting off the track, and you can just see there. I mean, there was a bit of contact, but there's no damage there. You can just see Vincio coming to the side. I'm not sure, and it might have. I mean, surely it's not. Well, there's word in my ear from the producer that it could have been running out of fuel. If that is the thing to kill Certo Vincio in this race, I'm mind blown.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Just ran out of gas. And you could see what Wesley get into the back left of his car there just a tiny little bit. But Certo, I guess he knew immediately that he was out of fuel and had to pull off. Wow. Certo Vincio down in 20th.
If it bleeds, you can kill it. And that's exactly what's happening here at the Paul Ricard circuit in France. As Marius isn't just still P1, but for now. And I just feel like I have to say for now when Wesley is hunting behind. Still 11 seconds is the time difference, but 11 seconds, we've seen how quickly that can be closed down by Wesley in this race, and Certo Vincio is all the way back in P20 now. So it's going to be interesting to see if there is a recovery from the Aston Martin driver, but I mean, wow. Just wow.
Yeah, if there's one person I could expect. Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. I expect Certo Vincio is going to come back and he's going to finish relatively well, but that's just a killer, man. Running so well and running out of gas. Oh, man, you were even talking about cars earlier. That is very Lightning McQueen, run out of gas. Wow.
I mean,
very, very, very strange.
And we'll go into another replay here as Tobias is going to take Sarabia, who heads into the pits, but we do have another replay, I believe, with what happened with Certo Vincio. Now we'll get into that in just a second. And here we go, here's Certo Vincio.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
look at that.
Yeah, and it is just no fuel, because you can see the throttle is being spammed by Certo Vincio, and there's just nothing. So it is a fuel issue.
Wow, I guess they got the F1 Aston Martin engineers over in that garage today. That is just... Well, Certo Vincio on the climb. We'll see where he can get back to. Sitting almost 2 full minutes back from the lead now. We'll see what he can cut in. We got 2/3 of this race to go. Very interesting.
2/3 of this race to go, and no one would have predicted Certo Vincio be all the way back there. As you see in the bottom right hand side of your screen, there is Gero Sarabia coming out of the pits after their first pit stop there. And the thing is as well with Certo Vincio is that that's count as a mandatory pit stop, and so it still has to do 2 more pit stops, because that one was just to refuel.
Yeah, Matt, he's got an uphill climb for the rest of this race, that's for sure. Oh man, that's just really rough. You hate to see that out of one of the best drivers. Of course it would be fuel to take him down.
I mean, it's the simplest things that kill the greatest. That's the rock that killed Goliath. It's the fuel that kills Certo Vincio now, but still not out of this race completely yet, as you see. Versus Lucien fighting with Ilya Journet, who's just come out of the pits after their first mandatory pit stop. And now the Mercedes looking to try and get over the back of BMW, who is going to be on those colder tyres. And that potentially heavier fuel load, well, definitely heavier fuel load, but I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if this Mercedes can catch up on this Strauss straight as we go through the final few corners of Garage du Camp. Now for Garage du La Sainte-Baume, as now we head into the Missile Straight. I don't think Mercedes is going to be catching up anytime soon.
Yeah, Mercedes, you know, the AMG super heavy car. BMW heavy as well, but Mercedes, very large, very, just a wide machine, big car. And Wesley, the leaders, or excuse me, second place, coming up behind the AMG now.
And you do see Sam Lewis have a drive-through penalties for Sam Lewis. And for those asking in the chat as well, my producer has just read in my ear, my name is Matt Saunders. I am one of your casters for this race and just at Full Grip Motorsport in general. And me today is Hunter.
Howdy, howdy. My name is Hunter P, caster for Full Grip Motorsport. We've been doing this, this is our 4th race together, I believe?
Silverstone. But yes,
oh,
4th.
Contact.
Bit of contact in between the introductions there as our 4th race together. Between Lotus Lucian and Coma Alex now, who's looking to get back in. And you can also see as well, something I've not really mentioned, that damage onto the front end of the Romanian driver's car there. So I'm not sure where that really comes from, but Marius Isinger, I thought was stopped on the side of the road there. Thankfully not, just in the pits now, and we'll lose that P1, but taking that first mandatory pit stop there.
Yeah, very good to see him come in. I would imagine P1 now, P2, P3, the rest of them are going to come in pretty shortly. And we'll see how they split up the rest of these pit stops. We'll see if they come in with about an hour left to go, or they try and stretch it as long as they can to be on fresh tires for that final run. But it seems that most of the field will be coming down within the next 2 to 3 laps to come get their pit stops.
Yeah, you also saw there Stefan van Aert now coming in as well, the P7 driver in that Mercedes. And you see on this straight, look how many drivers there are. This is such a long straight, and you see Alex, who did get the pass into Lotus Lucian, now going after Rios Jonet, who in front of him is Wesley in P1 now, and back with Chateau Vincho now. Just see trying to make some kind of moves, now looking towards the Belgian driver of Team Shedis Badex, who has had a great race so far.
Yeah, and especially with Serto Vincho in your rear view mirror, I'd probably just pull over and let him by, because he is coming. Already knocked the gap down by something like 15-20 seconds. Serto Vincho blistering, ready, and trying to get back up to the front. He wants this good result, and I believe he can get it too. See, easy overtake on the BMW right there. That's one. 19 more to go for Mr. Vincho if he wants a chance to win. I don't know, that might be out the window today, but...
And something else to note as well with Chateau Vincho, in about 20 or so races, in 22 races, is yet to finish a race below P3, even though it does have 2 DNS, but I mean, that is incredible form.
Absolutely, incredible poise, just always locked in at max capacity in that race car.
Yeah, and we'll go back on here with Toma Alex, who's still trying to chase down Ilias Journet now, the BMW driver. Just see how much time is being gained. You can see there Sam Lewis, the Australian, in the bottom right hand side of your screen, taking that drive through penalty.
And Matt, we really haven't had... Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No, after you, sir.
But we really haven't had too many penalties today. Normally the top of our screen is constantly blaring, but today has been more calm. Not saying calm, but it has been, at least I feel, a little bit more calm than especially Hungary. Hungary was crazy.
Yeah, after that first lap, that first corner specifically, and as well with a few incidents with Toby Isinger, things have definitely calmed down. And Alex is just there racing, and then Sean actually goes very slow there. I think this might be a pit for the BMW driver, who actually has already taken that first pit stop, so maybe just a lapse in judgment there, as Toma Alex still looking to get involved with this BMW driver, try and force a mistake. And I think it's going to be difficult to get one out of Journet because of how well they can hold that mid pack in, and we've seen that through the past few races at Silverstone, at the Hungaroring, but now Toma Alex make a move, as briefly flashed on your screen there. Toby Issinger going into the pits for their first pit stop. And Alex, I mean, he's trying to make it move, and Jean-A is just holding down the mid-pack.
Yeah, very interesting mid-pack battle here. You know, Jean-A, we've seen him run a couple races recently, and he's been around that, you know, 10th to 15th place spot a good bit. And he's a decent driver. I haven't really seen him cause too many issues or anything, so he's having a really good day so far today. As we see Toma Alex going to try and make that move around the outside. Doubt that's going to work down the straight, but we'll see what he's got planned.
Yeah, and as soon as Toma Alex actually gets off of that slipstream, you can see how much that Lamborghini slows down. It's just barely beating the markers there for the track limits. But you know, Jean-A has been someone that we've not really spoken about a lot in these races, but he's just consistently in that mid-pack and consistently just a good driver. So definitely experienced in holding down positions like P11. You see Toby Issinger coming out P7 after that pit stop, and you can see as well the top 4 drivers, Nick Padawan, Michael Blom, LS6 and Wes Lee now, are still yet to take their first pit stop. And I think this is less so common with Michael Blom, Nick Padawan, LS6, but with Wes Lee, yeah, I'm having stark flashbacks to that Silverstone race, but I'll bring this back in a second because Michael Blom's actually in a bit of a fight with the back market here of Joffrey Coco Bob.
Yeah, you gotta wonder how frustrating that is. Just like, get out of my way. I am trying to race here. And he's gonna make that pass there. Not really fighting for it. Obviously, back marker gonna try not to get into the leaders too much. We did see a little bit of that action earlier with Wes Lee. But Michael Blom, 3rd place.
Yeah, maybe the Dutch driver is now learning what it was like to be Wesley van der Linden at Silverstone. But another interesting fact about Michael Blom, 9 out of the past 10 races have been at Paul Ricard and finished first in all but 1. So another driver that's been in good form, looking for another good start today. As we go on board with Mitchell Cruikshank, who had a rough showing at the Hungaroring last week, but now in that Ford really making it stick on a track that I didn't think the Ford would really do that well in.
Yeah, he's holding it down today. That American muscle doing well on Paul Ricard. Mr. Cruikshank got that thing placed in 8th right now. Going to try and catch up Toby Issinger, maybe make it a little more. But I'm well pleased seeing the Ford do well here. Did not expect it. Welcome surprise for sure. Whoa, got a little loose there. Toma Alex had a little, or not Toma Alex, excuse me. The BMW behind him got a little, yeah, Jean-A. Got a little loose, got into the right rear.
Yeah, into Duracell. I think it just went a little bit wide on the Comte de Signé as well, and so allowed Toma Alex to get into P11, who's going to chase that P10 position. And ahead, you see the Lamborghini Penguin, the Hungarian driver, has had some real rotten luck as of recently. P4 finishes in both previous races at Paul Ricard. Not on the cars today, 21st for the Hungarian driver, who is having back-to-back bad races. Say that 5 times fast, I dare you.
Back.
Yeah, basically that's how it goes. But Alex, someone who we've been told is really fast in this Lamborghini coming into this pre-show, and honestly, I'm not sure showing it in that full capacity.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's because of the track, maybe. I mean, 11th place, not doing too bad, but definitely not where you want to be. But highest performing Lamborghini today, so I might put that on the car.
Yeah, and just a reminder, if you want to get involved in these races as well, you can go to fullgripmotorsport.com and you can join the Discord from there, as well as register for the upcoming events as well. And as well, you can subscribe on YouTube for updates about each and every race we do that is live streamed there. And you can see Nick Padawan at the bottom right as I was doing that, just taking a pit stop with the McLaren. There's a 3-way battle here. Joffrey Coco Bob has actually re-overtaken Michael Blom, and this is a weird sort of stack because you have Michael Blom, you have Joffrey Coco Bob, and I'm not sure who that is ahead in that Ferrari. I don't think it's LS6. It's actually Emil Antonsson, the Swedish driver there. and two people are fighting ahead, and I mean, you don't really know what to do. If you're Michael Blom in third place here, it might be time to take the pit stop as Lexus goes very wide there. Now Emil Antonsen has more, or has to let Michael Blom through because of the blue flag rules, but definitely not a great position for Blom to be in here. I can definitely see him going into the pits this lap.
Absolutely, especially when you've got two back markers fighting extremely hard in front of you. If there is to be an incident or anything like that, you don't even want to be close. So I would not blame Michael Blom for pulling out here and taking a pit stop.
And you see Alice 6 in the pit as well. We're going to see if Michael Blom is going to follow, and no, they are not. The Dutch driver staying out, so still feeling confident in these tyres after an hour of racing. 6 taking their first pit stop, and Wesley still yet to take theirs as well. So Michael Blom is just waiting for whatever it is to happen in front. Let it happen. Overtake onto the blue flag rules, but Goku Bob getting in front of Emil Antonsen here as we go back with Nick Padawan, who's about to be lapped by Wesley here in P9. Wesley on the Mistral straight now gets that easy overtake onto Mick Padawan, and now moves over to try and overtake someone who you've not really had a chance to speak to. Alexei Movchan, the Ukrainian in BMW, a Paul Ricard debut. His career finish was a P3 at Spa, and I don't think he's going to get a new one today, but yeah, it's definitely a respectable position.
Absolutely.
So far, at least for the Ukrainian.
Yeah, man, and especially on a Paul Ricard debut, this is not an easy track. No matter how many practice laps you've run, if you've never run a race really around here, especially with full Grip Motorsport and the caliber of drivers that we have, it's going to be difficult. But P9, or excuse me, P8 now, doing a great job.
Well, P10 has just gone
P10
into bits there, and Lotus Lucian getting into a bit of a scuffle with Samuel Engel there, the Polish driver, versus the Romanian in the Mercedes. And you can see Wesley has now decided to take that first pit stop for the Lexus, so Dutch driver choosing to pull the trigger now, and Padawan here just ahead of that number 3 driver of Stefan van Aert, who's putting a bit of pressure onto the McLaren, who I wasn't really a fan of the McLaren on my sort of test drives going along here, and it's interesting to see how some of these other racers make this swing as we go towards the Mistral straight now, and it's interesting to see the pace difference between the Mercedes and the McLaren, and well, you can see it just there now.
Yes, you can.
It looked like Van Aert was gaining, however, I'm not sure it's going to be enough to try and make a move into Corbe de Signé, but you can see now Wesley exiting the pits, and Michael Blom is going to be taking P1, Ice Issenger taking back P2. But you can see how much time was gained by Stefan van Aert there in that Mercedes, and there's a very nice exit off of that corner in both cars, but I think Van Aert's actually gaining that time, so bit by bit chomping at the brick to try and get this P8 position for the Mercedes.
Yeah, that Mercedes really strong in the slipstream. You saw how far away he got it and was able to close the distance. If he can stay this close to the technical sectors next lap down the Minstrel Straight, he's going to be good. I believe he'll be able to make that move.
Yeah, and the Mercedes is one that we hasn't been spoken about much in these type of races, because it's really underperformed, I think. We think back to Hungary where Stefan van Aert just couldn't get a hold of it. I think there was a few at Spa-Francorchamps as well, and again, just wasn't performing great there, and it's starting to find a bit of a rhythm here at Paul Ricard. Obviously not threatening some of the top drivers, but definitely making more of a statement than it has been before.
Yeah, AMG, especially here today, we've seen more out of it here than we have at any other track. And Steven Van Aust running in P9. It seems like he's got it dialed in a little bit, right on the bumper of Nick Padawan. Whenever they enter the Minstrel Straight, I believe this AMG is going to have a really nice path right to the inside. We shall see. Coming up right now.
You
That
see
McLaren just has a
now got
really
into
good
the
exit.
pits as well. Lotus Lucian in the pits as well, joining him, the other Mercedes driver. But McLaren's keeps getting such good exits off of Virage Ducam and Virage de la Sampomme that, even though we've seen this the backstretch speed in the slipstream, it's difficult for the Mercedes to really catch up with this McLaren and put any kind of pressure.
Yeah, and it seems like the McLaren's got better, just quartering in general. The McLaren can get through, hold the speed, hold the line a lot better. AMG might have it down the straights, but I do not believe it's going to have the advantage down here in the technical corners.
Yeah, we know McLaren is very much a cornering-based car. Very strong in the corners with the right setup, and even with the wrong setup, it's still fairly strong in those corners. It's just the straights you've got to be a bit worried about. And it's really showing it here, and you can see Michael Blom is still in the pits. I believe he's only just come out in P6, but it's going to be under pressure by Nick Padawan, Mitchell Cruikshank, and Stefan van Aast. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can hold on. And Lotus Lucian, a drive-through penalty for the Mercedes. I believe it might have been a pit speeding incident, because you could just see them coming out of the pits there. I believe it might have been a slight speeding incident. So there is a drive-through penalty for that, but it's Stefan van Aast still in P9 for now.
Yeah, and he'll try and hold that there. Losing ground on Nick Padawan. He'll try and reel him back in. He's almost out of slipstream distance, so he definitely has to pay attention. Get back up to the bumper of that car so he can take away that position.
Yeah, and you can see there Samuel Engel taking their first pit stop as well of the two. And so you can see actually a bit of damage on that BMW as well, so interesting to see if that gets repaired. But your top three right now, Marius Issenger in P1, followed by Wesley and LS6 still remaining in P3, so a fairly consistent front line.
Yeah, it's really cool to see these guys running around in the top. It seems to be at this point in the race, they have their cars figured out. They know exactly what they want to do. They've probably got their final pit stop scheduled already. They know about when they're going to come. At this point in the race, is John A. We were speaking about him earlier, how clean he was, making a mistake, losing a position. But the first four guys will be, in the next 50 minutes, just running their race, trying not to get into any incidents or anything like that, keep the car on the track, and make sure they get to this final third clean and ready for that final pit stop.
Yeah, speaking of incidents, you can see Wesley there with a time penalty for crossing the pit exit line. I believe the stewards are reviewing this though, so I expect this to, expect this to not stick. I'm not too sure how. Well, I mean, we obviously didn't see the pit exit line crossing, but stewards will be reviewing it, so I wouldn't expect anything definite just yet. But Wesley still P2 and about 5 seconds away from Marius Issenger, and Lee is still on the older tyres. I think that time difference will gain a little bit more, but soon enough will start to drop again.
Yeah, Matt, and our previous leader, Sergio Vincio, up in 16th right now after his fuel escapade, running a 1:59.387 last lap. That is almost 0.5 faster than Wesley is running right now.
Yeah, it's good stuff from Sergio Vincio right now. Getting back into P6, but still it's going to be under a lot of challenge to even get back up into this P10 position. But maybe in these pit stops as well, still yet to take that first pit stop. Had to go back into the pits earlier on due to a fuel shortage, and that does not count as one of the mandatory pit stops, and so Sergio Vincio still has to take 2 pit stops. And I think the race for the Aston Martin driver is pretty much over.
Yeah, he's really just trying to get as many positions as he can. I imagine he could probably get back up into maybe 9th, 10th area by the end of the race, possibly more if he stays extremely consistent. But it's gonna be hard for him to have a good result today.
Yeah, also, and I just do have words that the stewards are upholding that 5-second penalty for Wesley for that pit exit line crossing, so not great from Wesley, but has enough of a barrier between them and LF6 to keep P2 for now. But obviously that's going to come in at the end of the race, so with 1 hour and 47 left to go, it's going to be interesting to see what really happens as you see Samuel Engel getting a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, Matt, getting on to halfway point in the race, the field spread out, shaken out, everyone's really just trying to run this race, get down to that final third, make their moves, then just stick where you need to be, run your laps, hold on, because we're hardly even halfway.
Yeah, and Emil Antonsen with their drive-through. I'm not too sure what those two are about, whether they are just false flags, so we'll bring you the updates as they come. Vincho's still trying to carve a way back through the pack. 155.7 the last lap they ran. We'll see if that changes on the front straight as we head towards De La Ferrari. And 155.6, so still setting fairly consistent lap times that you would expect to see from those upper echelons of this race, but down a P16 as well, a few laps down from everyone, and has to make those pit stops. I mean, it's got to be frustrating for Sergio Vincho for some of these mistakes to have come through, and especially that one with the fuel. That one's going to really irritate you for a few days.
Yeah, I'd be kicking myself for a hot minute, because there's nothing, that wasn't even driving, that was just a misinput. You pick the wrong amount of fuel, you run yourself too long, there's no one to be mad at but yourself.
Yeah, you can see that. I think there is a bit of frustration from Sergio Vincho as he just going wide into De La Sombrone and to the Mistral straight now, and I mean, you've still got a long way to go, even just to try and catch Alexei Movchan in the BMW. There's still a hell of a way to go for Sergio Vincho to try and gain his positions back. Meanwhile, Padawan is here and getting this race done, still towards the back end of Mitchell Cruikshank now. Aaron, I mean, still ahead of Stefan van Aert, who's, I think, is actually losing a bit of time to Nick Padawan. I'm not sure if Padawan's gaining on Cruikshank or not.
We'll see very shortly. The Ford really strong down this front straight, keeping a decent gap. It looked to be McLaren just got in the slipstream a little bit, got a little extra speed coming down near the corner, wasn't quite close enough to be able to make a move. Nick Padawan definitely going to try and be right on the bumper of that Ford come next lap. Ooh, goes really wide.
First thing you have to do is just try and stay on track there, and Padawan not doing a great job of that part. Stefan van Aert now has been given a bit of an opportunity to catch up onto the bumper of Padawan, maybe put some pressure, re-catch that slipstream going back into Mistral, and that was that fall straight on the start-finish line. As we now head into Virage de la Tour and Virage de Pont, it's going to be interesting to see if this slipstream can make a bit of a difference. As Stefan van Aert actually was very loose on Virage de Pont, and so it's going to lose all that time. And now with Nick Padawan, I mean, we're back to how we were before, basically, as we head into De La Ferrari.
Yeah, Matt, and it seems like when that Mercedes comes out of the corner, it's just so heavy. It has a lot of trouble getting straight. You can see when it comes to these tighter corners, especially coming off of turn 13 to the front, to the start-finish straight, I'm not sure if it's driver or car, but he's struggling to get speed out of the corners. We'll see. Let's see right here. That was a pretty slow corner. He didn't struggle too hard there. But Nick Padawan, I feel like he's pretty comfortable. This guy's been trailing him for a while. He sees that the car is a little unwieldy and doesn't really want to go for him. And Steven Van Aert is not even going to have the chance to catch the slipstream here, I don't believe.
Yeah, no, I think Nick Padawan has just done enough to get away for now, but it'll be interesting to see. Still have a long way to go in this race. 1 hour and 43 minutes to go. And Padawan holding down this P8 position, but more of a question of when, not if, I feel. But maybe they'll show me it's the other way around.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, Nick Padawan's still holding out on this P8, and I think this is a bit of a problematic position for Nick Padawan, because you're not fast enough for your Cruikshank, but you're faster than Stefan van Aert, so you're kind of just stuck doing nothing. And I feel like this is the area, these are the moments where it's really difficult to keep your concentration.
Yeah, especially during a long race like this, and all it takes is a momentary lapse in focus, and your entire race can be thrown off. And it's really hard, especially to stay completely focused in that machine when honestly, there's nothing going on. You're just running your laps, and there's a lot to think about. And sometimes you can be thinking about your pit strategy maybe, or anything else, and you can mess up a corner because you're thinking about something else. So even if there's not other people around you, it can still be a dangerous game.
Yeah, it's an arse thing. Like the penalty, although I'm not sure that is going to stick. I'm not too sure that's for, so maybe just this input there from our stewarding team. But it's going to be interesting to see if it's upheld, and we'll get the latest update, of course, when we get them. As the Padawan still be, it actually does look to be. No, I was about to say it looks to be getting a bit of time in Cruikshank, but I don't think it is. I think it's surprising for this McLaren to not be as good on a track like this that we thought. Obviously, we knew it was going to run a straight line, but I think for a track like this, where we've seen how good the McLaren can be in these corners, it's kind of surprising, especially in that first sector.
Yeah, it really doesn't seem like it's performing at the level we thought it would. Because if you would have told me before the race that a Ford would be on match pace with a McLaren right behind it, I probably would have, I would have been a little skeptical. But Cruikshank and Padawan are showing us right now, car and driver combination, you can run about the same exact laps. And he's got that Ford dialed in, and that McLaren's trying to catch him, so definitely going to see. We know the McLaren can run a little faster because of Mr. Gale up there, Gale Sarabia, running in fourth, but it's going to be interesting to see how this battle for P7 shakes out.
Yeah, and speaking of battles, we have battle for P11 now, into Corp Dissigné, and now into Ibisol. Apologies for butchering my French here. Joffrey Kokobov and Ile Journet are going to be fighting in towards these corners. We go through Vorage de Bendor into Corp de Galaban now, as we head towards Vorage de la Tour and Vorage de Pont. And I'm honestly just saying these names just to try and recover my French a bit here. But you see now, Serta Vincho is looking to perhaps try and make a move on Alexei Movchan here, the Ukrainian, on the Mistral straight. You can see Gail Sarabia up ahead. It's just a shame that's for Serta Vincho. It's not for P1, but this move on Movchan is going to be done with a lot of ease, and so into P15 now does the Aston Martin go, but again, those 2 pit stops are crucial.
And you have to wonder if he's going to take tires. I imagine he'll take fuel. I wouldn't take that gamble ever again. But you got to wonder, will he take tires on one of these pit stops just to make it a little faster? Will he just go in, take a little splash of fuel and go? Or will he commit to the full pit stop? It'd be very interesting to see what Mr. Vincho does here.
Look at this now, Padawan and Cruikshank right up each other. I'm not sure how Padawan gained so much time into Cruikshank, but the time has been gained, so Padawan needs to make a move into Corp Dissigné, but now has lost this time, and now it could even be under threat from Stefan van Aert now, who's gotten right back into this battle, and now going to look to try and go into Vorage de Bendor with a lead going into P9 for Stefan van Aert. P8, sorry, for Stefan van Aert, as he looks to try and get in towards Nick Padawan here, who's also trying to get into Mitchell Cruikshank, and Padawan goes very wide, and I mean, you saw how Van Aert leapt into that opportunity, couldn't get it that time, but I mean, with a few more leaps and bounds, it could be.
Oh no!
He's got to serve that drive-through penalty, which I believe is sticking, so has now got to go into the pits there, and so now Nick Padawan can really set the sights back onto Mitchell Cruikshank there, and that's exactly what they're doing with that late braking there as we go in towards the Leverrier.
Yeah, Matt, and I was panicking because I saw Stephen Van Ost. He did not abide by the pit entry line. He did cross over that. I know he's serving a drive-through, but still, that worries me that could be one more penalty for the AMG driver.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the stewards rule that as, but Padawan and as well, we do have the Cruikshank fighting there. Stephen Van Aert now comes out of the pits, seemingly fine for now, who's dropped back into P12, but he had to see what the AMG driver can do. And word in from the producer that it was apparently a drive-through for track limits, so
Oof.
that's the penalty there, and that's caused them to go back down into P12, but not too far away from Elias Journet, who I did believe we caught on camera just as Stephen Van Aert was leaving the pits. As you can see, Mitchell Cruikshank goes very wide there, almost allows Padawan to get right back into it, and now we go into Virage de Bendo now, and Padawan still unable to make this mistake, even though Cruikshank, the Canadian's making these mistakes.
It's been very cool to see Nick Padawan and Cruikshank fight like this. He's making that Ford pretty wide, making it difficult for this McLaren to get by, coming through the final turn here, back onto the start-finish straight. It's been very interesting to see, and looks like the McLaren might have had a better exit from the turn, but we'll see if the Mustang has better straight-line speed, and I believe it does. Cruikshank's going to have the advantage here.
Yeah, Cruikshank has the advantage. You can also see the battle for P1 in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Wesley is going to take P1 from Marius Issenger there, and Nick Padawan not able to make that move on to Mitchell Cruikshank, who just has so much straight line speed in that Ford. But Wesley now your new race leader, but with that time penalty applied after the race, it's now all about if Wesley can get that 5-second time gap between him and Marius Issenger, and then also keep it. And I don't think it's necessarily a question of can Wesley get that 5 seconds gap, because we know that they can. It's just about how long can they hold on for. And meanwhile, we go back to P12, we see Stephen Van Aert has made the move onto Elias Journet in that BMW, who ever since we were sort of talking about how consistent they can be in that mid-pack, he's sort of seen a slow decline coming in from the BMW driver here.
Yeah, he had that big mistake, got off track, kind of put a dampener on his day. Still running in P12, but definitely not where he wanted to be running. And as you could see there, he came off that corner and got really loose running over those bumps. There might be an issue with the way this car is driving. Got loose at the top of that chicane. I don't know. Just seems to be struggling right now.
Yeah, it might just be an issue with the setup, and so it's something to live and learn by. But you still have a big gap between you and the driver just behind you. I believe that is Sandro Jagner making the full Grip Motorsport debut. But then we go back to this battle. All things relate to this battle between Nick Padawan and Mitchell Cruikshank now, and Padawan again second best in towards Virage du Pont and heading into De La Verre. I just don't see a world where Nick Padawan actually can make this move onto Mitchell Cruikshank at least before one of these drivers takes a pit stop.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a mistake or a pit stop. It seems they've pretty much stalemated. They're both... Padawan is good at different sections of the track than Cruikshank is. Cruikshank is good at different sections, and it seems they've completely just evened out.
Yeah, and speaking of Cruikshank, you see a drive-through penalty there. I believe that might have been for track limits again there, but not too sure. We'll get confirmation completed to you as we go.
Well, there's our
Cruikshank.
There's our pass.
Yeah, mistake. And you see Tom Sheegal, ignoring official crews, a 5-second penalty for the number 20 driver, who is also making their full Grip Motorsport debut. But here we go now. Nick Padawan trying to make this move work, trying to get this gain on the Ford tip. I don't think the Ford is pulling away necessarily, but it's just not allowing the McLaren to gain quickly. I think this has been why Cruikshank has been able to just keep the space, not because of how much the Ford is gaining, but by just how much they're keeping Padawan away.
Yeah, especially you can see just how fast that Ford is down the Mistral Straight. He's got so much speed. Even the McLaren behind with slipstream is struggling to catch him, and that's a testament to the Ford straight line power.
Yeah, you can see here Marius isn't just the back right corner, and it's actually just been a spin for Marius Isn't the second place German driver. So isn't just spun and is giving up more time to Wesley. So it explains why Islinger was a bit slower. You saw, as you saw on the bottom right hand side of your screen, Islinger spinning out there, and it might allow other six to get back into a fight for second. And these two old rivals, well, old rivals, new rivals, I should say, they have a bite at the cherry once again.
Yeah, LS6 a little far behind, but with a better chance now than they've had all day to catch Marius.
Yeah, this will look to be it here, but again, Nick Padawan goes forward just to try and search up. But I think even though Padawan isn't, and this is something you mentioned earlier, I can't remember who it was with, I believe it was Zeto Vinci and Wesley, is that even though Padawan isn't making the gains as much as the McLaren would hope to do, it's still helping because it's getting Padawan away from the people behind him, exclusively Toma Alex, who is currently sitting in P9, that Lamborghini.
Yeah, Matt, if you can get the slipstream, you want it. It just makes you so much faster on the straights, especially the McLaren where it struggles with straight line speed. Being able to sit behind a car that has the power and the acceleration to get up that fast on the straight, sit in their slipstream, that's going to improve your lap times by a couple tenths, if not more. And Sergio Vincio diving on the inside for one more spot. He is up to P14, Matt.
P14 slowly but surely climbing up the ranks again, getting that pass on Emil Antonsson, the Swedish driver. Now in the Ferrari. Saw last week at the Hungaroring this debut for Antonsson in that Ferrari. Didn't do a bad job there, but doing too great here. Go back with Michel Cruikshank just to try and capture this little fight, and Padawan biding their time. And we're also going to see about Cruikshank's drive-through penalty as well. See when they're going to take it. Obviously not going to be, well, it has to be this lap now, so
yeah, they're running out of time to take it.
See now Cruikshank going through the motions here, trying to, I mean, I'm not sure if you're just trying to gain from Padawan anymore, if you're just trying to drive, be safe, and hope to not make a mistake before the drive-through and completely get rid of your racing opportunities.
Yeah, you already have the drive-through. You don't want to let that disappointment bleed into anything else. You want to make sure you're still running your race, running your line, get to the pits, take the drive-through, and get back on the horse and keep riding.
Yeah, and as you just heard, they're halfway through the race. 1 hour 30 gone, an hour 30 to go. Wesley is your race leader for now. Marius Islinger P2, Alex P3, Gail Sarabia P4, with the other half of the Islinger brothers, Toby Islinger, rounding out your top 5 as see how much pace Cruikshank and Padawan are carrying in towards the end of the Mistral Straight, in towards Courbe de Sydney, and now into double quad. People are saying now Cruikshank is a little looking to get that better pace going into Virage de Vendor now.
Yeah, and he's been running pretty good, pretty consistent. It's been a really good battle for 7th here. We'll see if he is going to take this right off into pit lane here. I believe he has to. Yes, he does.
And will do so. So Nick Padawan will get into P7. I think Cruikshank will drop a fair few positions. And I believe that is Toma Alex coming around the corner just there. And we go Toby Islinger, who's actually right on the tail end of Gail Sarabia there, who is behind one of the Ferraris, I believe. It's not LS6. I believe that might be Emil Antonsson there in that
I believe,
Ferrari, but
yes, I believe it
Sarabia
is.
will move to the side under blue flags. Toby Issinger now fighting with Sarabia. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Issinger actually get involved again. We saw a lot of incidents where Toby Issinger, we're not going to blame Toby for them, but we're going to say it's weird how he was there for the majority of them.
It was around 3 incidents in like 5 minutes as well. It was a lot. It was a good pit, but Toby still doing well. I don't believe he got any penalties for any of that, so stewards decided probably not Toby's fault.
Yeah, Toby was fighting for that P1 position, but then rammed into by Michael Blom, who's now sitting in P6. But Issinger, there has been a recovery from the other half of the Issinger drugs, and I thought Antonsson was going to go right into Issinger there and the pit maneuver. You can actually see there Gail Sarabia. I thought Sarabia had actually gone into the pit lane and looked to have gone into the pits, but instead was just letting Issinger through, and now Toby Issinger gets into P4. And, I mean, I assume it's going to be looking to get into third, and still a way out though. But Sarabia giving up the position is interesting to me, because I think Sarabia's actually had some decent space during this race.
I'm wondering what happened there. I thought he was going to go into the pits with his exit off of turn 13, but I'm just confused. I would not expect Gail Sarabia, the just an aggressive driver, not an insult, just extremely aggressive. If there's an opening, he's probably going to take it. That just doesn't seem like something he would do there. I'm wondering if he didn't have maybe a hiccup or something like that. I'm not sure.
Now ride on board anyway with Marius Issinger in P2, the German going in and around this corner. Virage de Bandor, as we now go through Corbe to Galaban into Virage de la Tour. I think it's really interesting to go on board with some of these drivers, and especially to watch what gear they're putting it in, because I see Marius Issinger going into first gear for Virage de Bandor there. Maybe, I don't know if it's always happening there, but it's definitely something that is happening, and so it's interesting to see. And you can see as well, Michel Crucian actually taking a pit stop there. He's gone down to B13, but will decide on this very early pit stop here. Gail Sarabia has actually been re-overtaken by Emil Antonsson there.
Yeah, you see Michael Kruschenk. I wonder if he's going to try and undercut everyone. Maybe try and take the super early pit stop right after the penalty. And maybe he won't make another one for the entire rest of the race. He'll try and make this work for hour 25 and see how many people he can pass just on strategy.
Yeah, well, we've seen that pace from Ford in that battle with Nick Palawan, so hoping to recreate it as Michel Cruikshank now comes out of the pits in P15. I think P16 now as Movchan is going to get that pass. I believe so anyway. And you can also see as well, Sam Lewis is the only other person to have taken both Maori pit stops, although Sam Lewis, the Australian, in P19. So again, not a great race for Sam Lewis, who's making the Paul Ricard debut, and another fun fact, has only finished 3 out of their last 10 races, so looking to try and make it a 4th here as Sarabia now goes onto the back straight.
Yeah, and Gail Sarabia, like we were talking about, he's a pretty aggressive driver. We saw him at Hungary last week. If there was an opening, Gail was going to take it, and I cannot blame him. Especially in when you're fighting up near the front, it is so important to take every position you can. And Gail is that guy. He is going to go for it. It's very fun to watch him drive this McLaren around. Ooh, penalty for Emil Antonsson as well.
Yeah, and it makes sense how much blue flags Emil Antonsson, the Swedish driver, has faced in this sort of, I don't want to say battle with Gail Sarabia, but definitely holding up the McLaren driver. So now a 5-second penalty for Antonsson, and he's going to have to let this driver through eventually. I'm not sure why Antonsson is trying to hold on, considering they're still only P14. Not much really to race for, considering how much the gap is between Antonsson and Ilya Journet in P10.
Yeah, man, especially you're fighting you're basically fighting for nothing here, and you just got yourself a penalty because you won't let the guy by. That's just you have got to listen to what the stewards are saying, and if you do not, you're just hurting yourself. And we got a replay coming up here as well.
Abby Jones eventually meant that overtake into Amundsen, as we will be heading into a replay of that penalty for the Swedish driver Antonsson. Into it in just a second. So even before we head to this replay, Antonsson's already trying to get in towards the back of Sarabia now.
Yeah, running so hard.
Yeah, and Sarabia's getting away. Now we will be going into that replay of the penalty was there. See Antonsson, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can see how much pace Antonsson's carrying into that corner there. Rajdi Bendo, and just no, there's not really a need. Maybe it was just a mistake from Antonsson to carry too much speed coming into Bendo, but it's interesting how Antonsson just didn't want to let up there.
Yeah, Matt, if you've already been warned, at that point, there's no one to blame but yourself. You have got to listen to what the stewards are telling you, especially if you know you're a lapped car. Just a mistake there.
Yes, so Sarabia makes their way through the pack. P5, the Mexican driver, who again, another Paul Ricard debut, but back 6th place finishes in their last races at Silverstone and in Hungary. So definitely one to, I mean, Sarabia's always one to keep an eye on, whether that's for chaos or whether that is for some particularly great driving. Either or can happen in a race, maybe even both sometimes.
I know at Hungary it was both for sure. Emil Antonsson running extremely wide there onto the paint to get that wide entry into turn 1. Very interesting line. I've seen a couple other people run it, but he ran wide to hit that corner.
Yeah, it feels like it's a new side of Emil Antonsson here, because he's a very aggressive driver now, but it's not something that he's really been heralded for before. I think he was a very stable, solid driver before that didn't try and sort of push the boundaries too much and just try to keep the car on the track, try to keep penalty-less. But now it feels like Emil Antonsson is said, screw that, we're going to go fast, we're going to go furious, and whatever happens, happens. And we saw that now with Gael Sarabia, and just now when the Swedish driver went wide.
Yeah, Mr. Antonsson pushing hard today, and that's what you like to see out of these drivers. Even if you're in the back of the pack, you want to see them go. They want to get the best result possible as well. They know they still have an hour, 20 minutes, so anything can happen. And that just goes to show you here at Full Grip, even at the back of the pack, everyone is pushing.
Yeah, and we're now on board with Wesley, your leading driver, 154.7. Go for a lap with Wesley and just to see how this Lexus is getting so much pace. And I really like the Lexus on this track. This little nippy car, good in the corners, but especially great. And this is where it really comes in on these straights, and as well these exits onto the corners, where you are able to put so much power down in such a quick little manner. And you can see there, as we leave Virage du Carme, how much power is just being put down there. And as we go into the Mistral straight, and just see how much power is being put out onto those corners.
Yeah, the Lexus and the BMW kind of remind me similarly of each other, but Wes Lee in this Lexus, just so fast today, man. Look at his speed down the straight here in 6th gear, coming down the Minstrel straight. Hard braking right here. We'll see what gear he gets into. Braking about the 100 board, dropping down into 5th, trying to keep it as wide as possible. Oh my gosh! Almost hitting those track limit boards, down into 3rd, coming through turn 9 into turn 10. Yeah, look at the way he wheels this machine, man.
I think it's something that does make a difference on this track is the gear ratios between the different cars, because I drove a Porsche. I drove every car before this, just see what cars I liked, what cars I didn't like. The Porsche's gear ratios completely threw me off on this track, because I'm going through corners that I was usually going out in third, and I'm going in fifth in them. I'm like, what? And and I think this is the same for the Lexus here, where the gear ratios are just completely different for a Lexus, and so you're able to carry more speed and go through these corners in that higher gear because of just the difference of ratios between a Lexus and, say, a BMW.
Yeah, and it's also a lot easier to go through a corner in a higher gear as well. You get a lot less power in a higher gear, especially through a tight hand corner. You want to go through in a higher gear if you can, if it's possible, if the car allows it, because that is less power going directly to the wheels, less chance you spin that thing out.
Yeah, for those newer people into sim racing and motorsports, that's a key crucial advice. You can put that into practice if you head on to fullgripmotorsport.com and sign up to Discord there on Full Grip Motorsport, get all the updates for races, as well as being able to sign up to events on the website as well, so you can try and get into P1 there. And you can also, if you'd rather be a spectator, you can also just watch, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and get the latest notification for any content we push out, but more importantly these races, as we now look at Ballant Penguin, who again is running near the back of the pack. I actually do think he's running last right now in that Lamborghini, and this is starting to become a common sight for Hungarians.
Yeah, sadly. But you have to hope. With every race comes experience. With experience comes skill. With skill comes wins. Eventually, hopefully. So, Ballant Penguin, it's great to see him still thugging it out in the back of the pack, holding it down, getting this experience. Every lap you probably learn something new. So stick it out, stay strong. The results will come.
Yeah, speaking of results will come, here's Sandro Jacques, who's making their debut here today for Grip Motorsport. So now they put some pressure onto Ilias Jornet to try and get this top 10 position, and they did actually qualify in P5, and I think got caught up in that very early incident into turn 1 on lap 1 as we just moved past the green lights. Then you saw as well at the top of your screen, Toby Issinger gets a drive-through penalty. We'll update you on that when we can, but he's trying to make a move on Jornet now, who's trying the best to defend and stay within the top 10, but Sandro Jacques has actually had a decent amount of pace today, which was somewhat surprising out of this newer driver. 155.2 is the best, but the race pace has been close to that each time, so it's allowing them to catch up to Jornet. And now look at the speed difference between the BMW and the Lamborghini here. Although Jacques, without that slipstream, is starting to slow down a lot, and is going to be a laboured effort down the Mistral straight now, but still looking to be able to just about make that move as we head in towards Corbe de Signé. But I don't think Jacques has the pace for it, and so Jornet will have this inside line, and Jacques just has to say, no, you can have it again, I'll try it again later. Maybe into Dubosset now, looks towards the inside, but not able to make that move, but Jornet goes wide.
Got it!
And Jacques
there he goes.
Is able to make that move and get into P10.
Awesome, awesome. You see, I thought he put himself in a really bad spot pulling out of line so early on the Mistral straight. He pulled out of line really early, lost the slipstream, and you could see near the back end that BMW started to pull away just a little bit more. So maybe he'll learn from that next time and know that if you're behind, you need to stay. Maybe lift just a little bit. But it worked out for him. And now, yeah, we have a replay for what happened with Mr. Toby Issinger running in fourth.
Yeah, see what that drive-through penalty was about, and I think it was for track limits.
Oh!
See there, hitting that little marker. For those who don't know, those markers signify the end of track limits, and Issinger hitting that marker has gone past track limits, so will be a drive-through penalty that the German has to serve, and will be doing so now. And I believe there was actually, there is a pit coming in ahead of him. It is Serto Vincio taking their first pit stop after just over an hour and 3/4.
Yeah, first pit stop. Well, technically first mandatory counted pit stop Obviously, he did run out of fuel pretty early in the race. On the climb back now, still has to take one other pit stop after this one. That's going to put him pretty far behind where he's already caught up to. So, Sergio Vincio, his climb continues, my friend.
Yeah, so that's one more to go after this one. And you also saw as well, Gil Sorhabi, the Mexican, is now in the pits too. And you can see how many positions they're losing and how closely contested. This is probably the most closely contested race we've had. Just from P1 to, even P10. It's been so closely contested throughout it all. And still with just over an hour and 10 to go, it makes it so actually you don't really have an idea of who's going to finish where. As you see Stefan Van Ast getting their final mandatory pit stop done and over with.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. This entire race is very interesting. I wonder if the fact that everyone is so much more bunched together is because of that long straight. Just the slipstream effect. If you're a second behind, you can cut that down to half a second just by slipstreaming off the back. So that allows these cars to run so much closer together and be less spread out through the track.
Yeah, you can see here Mitchell Cruikshank back on our screens again, this time going after Emil Antonsson, who's trying to defend for that P13 position. Cruikshank in this forward, we've seen how good Antonsson, or how much Antonsson wants to defend, and not much now as it will be this week going into the pits, and Mitchell Cruikshank going into P13, so Emil Antonsson joining Stefan Van Ast, who is just leaving the pits, so there has to be room made for Mitchell Cruikshank. Ooh, that was very close racing there from Cruikshank into Stefan Van Ast there.
Extremely close move to get down into that braking zone to turn 1. It's close. Cruikshank got it done, running P12, trying to run down P11 now. At about 20-second gap. Going to be tough, but...
Yeah, and as you can see on your screen, there is a new fastest lap of the race. We're just trying to find out who that is for, because I'm
that
actually
is
too sure.
Coco Bob.
That is Geoffrey Coco Bob has got the new fastest lap of the race with a 154.6. I'm not too sure if that is. No.
I know.
No,
I do not believe Sergio is still in this race.
154.6. It is actually the fastest lap of the race. So, yeah, it is the new fastest lap of the race. Geoffrey Coco Bob is going to get this fastest lap of the race, but elsewhere we have possibly already seen Chateau Vincio. Whoa, hold on, we'll bring the nose in a second because Sam Lewis has gone for a spin just outside of Corbe du Signet, I believe. See, Lamborghini is stopped, brought back to the pits now. See Ballant Penguin there as well, and Emil Antonsson now going and making their exit. Sandro Jacquner also now into the pits, but as you can see, Sergio Vincio, has now retired from this race. So if it bleeds, you can kill it. I've said this a lot in regards to Sergio Vincio this race, but it shows it can be done.
It can be done. But now we got the other Titan, Wes Lee, leading the race. We'll see if Marius has anything for him coming down to this final third.
Yeah, and this is going to be where the pit stops are so important for these racers. And you can see Wesley, followed by Gail Sarabia in the background, who's running in P8 right now. And Wesley just going forward. And something I've noticed, well, look how low down that Lexus is. I think that is part of the setup with the Lexus. And I'd really be interested to see what Wesley has set up this Lexus to be, because it feels like it's just strong in everything, in the cornering, in the exits of the corners, and the entrances of the corners, on the straights. It's do anything and everything. It's the jack of all trades and the master of them all as well.
Absolutely, Matt. Wesley has got this thing dialed in to perfection, exactly the way he wants it. Able to do whatever he needs it to do. If he needs it to turn left, if he needs it to turn right, if he needs it to run fast on the straight, he has got it. and he has figured it out as he dives into turn 1. 15 seconds ahead of P2. Wesley looking to drive away and put a cap on this. We still have one more pit stop though, so do not get comfortable.
Yeah, this is going to be where the strategy is so important for Marius Kissinger. If they can find some success with the strategy of this pit stop, it's going to be interesting to see what or how the end of this race turns out, as there's just over an hour left in this race. As you mentioned, Marius Kissinger 15 seconds away from Wesley, who's only going and building that time up. You've got to remember as well, this 5-second penalty for Wesley may make things interesting towards the end. We saw that have an effect last week for Marius Kissinger, as a matter, or against Marius Kissinger, as a matter of fact, in that battle with LS6 for podium, and ended up forcing Kissinger into that mistake, as Lucian and Mercedes gets that time penalty. When we have word of, I will update you. And Wesley, I thought was about to lose it there, but he never loses it, never loses the call, and the chip car will go forward, and Lotus Lucian 5-second penalty for blue flag behaviour, so we'll get a slight penalty for that, but I don't think it's going to make too much difference because Lucian's running in P17 right now.
Yeah, Matt, and something interesting from last week, Marius Kissinger and LS6 both ran right next to each other up until about the final minutes. It'll be very interesting to see if LS6 will catch Marius Kissinger, and we'll see if we'll have anything quite like last week.
Now, we do have to have a word from Sherto Vincho here about why they're retired. Vincho says the car has been on a knife edge the whole time, and that was when the traction control decided to just stop working. So issues with the car have forced the Aston Martin driver to go out, and it's the greatest weapon, but it's also the biggest fall for a rookie that has really made his name here at Grip Motorsport.
Yeah, Matt, and honestly, I didn't believe anything could take him down unless it was issues with his car, or maybe, like I said, fueling issues, anything like that. He's just so poised and strong on the track. But Aston Martin around Paul Ricard is a little too much for Mr. Vincho today.
Yeah, great to have what opportunity to get a little bit of a chat with Sherto Vincho there. Just a word on what that retirement has been caused by, as we continue on with Marius Kissinger. You also saw Emil Antonsen get another drive-through penalty there, and you can see Swede just going through the pits right now. It doesn't have any more penalties, any more pit stops mandatory to make out of the pits in P16, and I feel like it's been a new side of Emil Antonsen, but it's not been one to really celebrate, and I think new look isn't what's needed for the Swedish driver.
Yeah, he'll probably, I'd say, go home, see what you did wrong, come back next race with a fresh mindset, possibly just a day to forget for him.
Yeah, indeed. But Wesley, I mean, you're doing everything that was asked for you and more. And I think maybe this could be a bit contentious considering Sherto Vincho and the technical issues there. So I think some fans might say that is, I don't want to say a fraudulent victory, but definitely a victory that was made a lot easier by the retirement of Sherto Vincho. But a first place is a first place, and that's all the history books you'll remember, as we see Emil Antonsen seen behind Lotus Lucian in front of, I believe that's Nick Padawan, and I'm not too sure who that final Lamborghini is, but another time penalty for Emil Antonsen. I'm not too sure what for though, did get a bit loose there. And actually, yeah, I'm not too sure what that time penalty is for. Look how loose Antonsen is getting.
Whoa!
Swede just tries to go forward, almost getting into the side of Lotus Lucian. Yeah, Emil Antonsen crossing the pit exit line will get that penalty, but actually does manage to make that move onto Lotus Lucian. So the aggression for the first time this race, I want to say, has worked out in Ferrari's favour.
Yeah, he's been very aggressive all day today. Finally worked out for him, like you said, moving up into P16. Not too much hope on the horizon past this point. But we'll see what he's got. Got 1 hour left. Anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. I think for some, that's being hoped for more than others. As we have a look at Toby Issenger again in P5. Has been running a decent race, but unfortunately that early instant with Michael Blom just really sort of caught him away from that top 3 place. Although again, the strategy could be crucial here. See Gail Sarabia still behind Wesley, actually getting a bit of a tow from the leading driver, so he's going to be losing. Sarabia is going to be using the lead driver, as Sarabia has actually been setting their best lap so far. Not one of the fastest race, but 1:55.045, and Sarabia is only getting faster. This is really beneficial to the 7th place driver.
Yeah, Matt, I see Gail Sarabia, the first one to bite on this alternate strategy that they may be taking. You see, he is following directly behind the leader here, and he has already taken his final pit stop. So if he can stay on pace with him, Wesley still has to pit. Gail Sarabia can make up some serious time here.
Yeah, this could be a very interesting climax to this race coming in and forward, but we're going to have to see how that continues to go for the McLaren driver. And I think it's actually quite impressive as well, even sort of with the slipstream. It's impressive that Sarabia has actually been able to keep up with Wesley, albeit not gaining too much on the Dutch driver, but still, I mean, you're keeping up a toe. It's just a shame that you're doing it in P7 rather than in P2.
Yeah, Matt, I wonder where he's going to cycle out to. That'll be very interesting as well, because everyone in front of him has to pit. So he's definitely going to make up at least, I'd say maybe 1 or 2 spots once these guys all come down pit road. Where I do worry about Gale, since he pitted so early, he's got to make these tires last a whole hour, probably about 1 hour 5 minutes from when he pitted. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he can hang on later in this race.
Yeah, and we'll have a look back at Stefan van Aert now, who is sat in P12. Both mandatory pit stops have been done by about half the grid now, I want to say. It's just those front runners and 1 or 2 in the back that's still yet to do their second pit stop. But Van Aert still trying to chase Mitchell Cruikshank, who has had a weird amount of pace that I didn't think the Ford would have so far. Also see there Marius Issenger, I told you about the front runners, is going in and still having that 1 mandatory pit stop, but Issenger's going to take it now, so with an hour left to go at this Paul Ricard circuit in France, and so Issenger taking that early pit stop and maybe trying to get a jump over L6 and Wesley, but will lose some positions, although I'm not too sure they'll actually lose any positions to like Michel Blom or the brother Toby Issenger or Nick Padawan. I believe they're too far out for now, but be interesting to see us, or might actually see Marius Issenger in the pits from Van Aert's point of view, and I believe you just coming up to him. No, just gone past them, so you're seeing them there. Toby Issenger will actually make the move on Marius Issenger in the pits. Michael Blom as well does it, and so it is Toby Issenger going ahead of his brother Marius Issenger.
Yeah, gonna split it. Coming in right at 1 hour to go. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I believe he took his first one about 2 hours left in the race, taking his last one 1 hour left. Give about 1 hour on each of these tires. Excuse me. I think he is going to be just fine. He's ran on older tires enough at this point to where he knows exactly how his car is going to handle at the end of this race. I think he's in a good spot here for a top 5.
Yeah, it does feel like the top 5 positions are fairly locked down. You can actually see as well Nick Padawan. That's the overtake on Marius Issenger, who is going to be on those colder tyres, so has to warm them up quickly and then go. You also see at the bottom of the screen Thomas Alex there in that Lamborghini as well, just trying to go through the motions. Going wide there is the Lamborghini is in P10, and for a returning legend, I want to say. Toby
Woo,
is so
Toby.
wide.
Whoa!
And Shornay, I mean, in the Shornay thinks Toby's got the racing line, and so often you see in the background, Shornay going for a drift off screen there. I think actually he has recovered fairly well. So nice drift there, Shornay. Well, nice drift, but he's just running so wide out of the Mistral straight into Corp de Signier.
Yeah, carrying a lot of speed into that corner, man. You have to be so careful. Wow, I'm just glad it worked out for both of those drivers. They didn't go off and spin, but that definitely could have been troublesome. My goodness, these boys.
Yeah, and it's definitely, and both of the drivers actually still do have a pit stop left, so might come in beneficial to other drivers later on, but not right now. Toby is still remaining in P4, trying to just catch up with Michael Blum, and is 2 seconds behind the Porsche driver. So, I mean, and this is just a front four. I mean, this is a front four where you would sit here and go, there's 3 legends definitely in Toby, Issenger, Michael Blum, and Wes Debian. LS6 is coming as of recent, not on the full Grip Motorsport debut or anything. That's raced a fair amount of times for full Grip Motorsport, but recently in these streams come in and there's just been a new sort of top powerhouse, I want to say.
Yeah, it has ran well in every race I've seen them, especially last week in Hungary, holding off Marius Isinger in the final laps to secure a podium and running P2 today. LS6 making a name for themselves here.
And it turns out that drift from Elio Journet into Dwight Duboisseau has had its effect, as Geoffrey Coco Bob does get the overtake in just before the BMW driver decides to head into the pits, and another penalty for Emil Antonsen for ignoring the blue flag. So 10 seconds there, and there is a spin from Tim Shadis-Beidix. And so Shadis-Beidix has been spinning, and there he goes again. Oh, it does touch the wall, and I think there you saw a bit of damage there on a BMW. Yeah, just a bit you can see on the front end, and so getting very loose in that BMW. Has taken both mandatory pit stops, but I wonder what for, as Issenger now is the one to go into the pits and lose some positions there.
Yeah, man, it's really interesting to see the amount of damage on some of these cars. We don't have as many hunks of junk as we did in Hungary, of course, but you get front wing or any kind of damage on the front of your car, that's going to hurt your run down the front stretch so bad. So you really want to minimize damage during, especially on your front. Ooh, little contact.
And you saw Nick Padawan go into the pit end. Speaking of damage, there's a bit of damage onto the back end of Tim Shadis-Beidix from Emil Antonsen there, as they go for a bit of a scrap in towards those first few corners, but is Beidix to get that move done and move up into P15. As we go back with Gael Sarabia in P5 now after Padawan's and Toby Issinger's pit stop. So McLaren is gaining, as is Marius Issinger, who's back into P4, and suddenly this could become an interesting battle with Issinger and Sarabia could potentially be moving into those top 3 positions alongside Wesley, Michael Blum and LS6.
Yeah, Matt, this final third of the race is shaping up to be extremely fun. Top 3, I was about to say top 3 yet to pit. P2, LS6 coming into pit right now. Only Wesley and Michael Blum, the only 2 left. Yeah,
you saw LS6 in the background there. We go with Jacob Bob, and you can actually see Jacob Bob has just passed Nick Padawan now. So P7 for Geoffrey Coco Bob, who came in, qualified very highly in this race and was involved in that first big incident on lap 1. Now has moved back up into P7 and doesn't need to take a pit stop. So actually, yeah, I mean, this race pace from Geoffrey Coco Bob has been elite so far, and now could be trying to formulate some more moves, mainly onto Toby Issenger, possibly even Gael Sarabia, or is that a leap too far?
He's got 53 minutes. If he keeps running like this, I'd even go as far to say top 5. Joffrey Coco Bob has been extremely surprising to me today.
Yeah, I think
well.
it's surprising to a lot of people as you see LS6 come out of the pit lane there in P4, so not losing too many spots and only 10 seconds behind Mario Sissinger, so definitely in a position to get that podium back, especially when Michael Blom and Wesley go into the pits. Now we say with Joffrey Coco, you can already see he's gaining so much time away from Nick Padawan, almost a second now, and that move was done basically into turn 1 to deliver. Now we go through Corb du Galaban into Virage de la Tour, and Coco Bob is making a good go of this in that Lexus once again. And so even though there's no, I mean, apart from Wesley, there's no, I mean, the gap between Wesley and Joffrey Coco Bob is 6 places, but the amount of gaps that these Lexus are putting in, showing off why they are popular on tracks like Paul Ricard.
Yeah, Lexus has been extremely strong today. We've seen it from Wesley and we've seen it from Joffrey here. Yeah, not much else to say other than Lexus, they've got it figured out, especially around Paul Ricard, as we see Joffrey Coco Bob flashing his lights. Not sure what that's about. Maybe just having a little fun.
Yeah, I mean, with some of these setups that the drivers have, maybe it's just a bit of fun, maybe it's an external press, you never know. So many buttons, so little room to have on the steering wheels and controllers. We go in towards the back straight of the Star now. And Coco Bob's still gaining so much time onto Padawan, although Padawan is actually keeping up as those tyres get warmed up. And now it could look to be in a position to try and get back at this Lexus here as Coco Bob goes flying down, Padawan flying just behind, and Padawan the Frenchman on the home circuit as well.
Whoa!
Looks to make a move, a bit wide there from both those, but they get within track limits quickly. And you know, anything you can do, I can do better, says Nick Padawan, who makes that mistake as well. But debut for Padawan at the home circuit. He had not finished last week at the Hungary, and I think it's a good way to bounce after that last weekend at Hungary.
Sure, and we had a lot of guys week at Hungary that wish they could have had better days for sure. And I guess Paul Ricard is the comeback circuit, because we've seen a bunch of guys today didn't have amazing runs last week, but had decent runs, or maybe not decent, but better than DNFs today.
The blue flag for Bounce and Penguin now, who is running in P19 last place. Another poor performance yet again for the Hungarian today. And Joffrey Coco Bob happy to make the move easily in as Jean loses it into Corp du Signet, and now could be under a lot of pressure here. I believe these are back markers, so I won't be under too much pressure. You see it at the bottom right hand of the screen, that's Stefan van Ast going into the pits there as Jean loses it once again in that BMW, and as they crash between Wesley, not sure who else that was. I believe, is that LS6? It might have been LS6. There was a crash between Wesley and
looked like Emil.
It
looked like Emil to me. I don't know. I could be wrong.
It is Antonsson. It is
oh my
Antonsson
gosh!
that has crashed between Wesley and Antonsson to the Swedish driver. Another bout of bad fortune once again, but that is definitely going to slow Wesley down.
If you're Michael Blom, man, I would be stepping on that gas pedal right now. Wesley going to take his pit stop. Maybe he got a little bit of damage there, going to try and get it repaired. He's got a lot of a lead, but that kind of forced his hand. My gosh.
Yeah,
yes,
Antonson's going to be following in, and so maybe it is just to throw some shade at Wesley there, but I'm not too sure what happened between the two, although I feel like we'll be getting a replay shortly of that incident. But we see Michael Blom now going down the Mistral Straight, so I don't believe Blom will get pass completed on Wesley, but I feel like it is definitely going to be a lot closer, and especially considering Wesley is on those colder tyres as well, and we do have a retirement from Emil Antonsson, the Swedish driver, not happy about how things went in that moment. So was given a retirement session, and Wesley now has a 30-second stop and go penalty. Michael Blom is laughing.
Oh my god.
Marius Issinger's laughing because Blom still has to make that final pit stop. Issinger and LS6 don't. This could
Holy
be huge
cow.
for both of those drivers. And Wesley is now going to come out of the pit zone. Pit lane. Michael Blom's right behind. And Wesley still has to have another stop and go 30 penalty for 30 seconds here.
Wow, and Michael Blom, he still has to take that last pit stop, but Wesley has to come in for that stop and go. So that basically adds another pit stop for Wesley. Michael Blom, Wesley, right here together. Wow. And I know Marius is happy too. Wow.
Yeah, Marius Issinger 12 seconds away from Michael Blom, LS6 17 seconds away as well. About 30 seconds away from Wesley, so we'll definitely be able to catch up when Wesley makes that stop and go penalty. But I think as well, this is going to be very detrimental to Wesley because you're already on cold tires, you start to warm them up, and then you have to sit there for 30 seconds and wait again. So that is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, Matt. Here we go. You know Wesley is not happy. We don't know what exactly went down, but whenever we see that replay, we're going to know. Wow, what a turn. Like I said, anything can happen in these races. 47 minutes remaining.
47 minutes remaining, and we'll have to see how this all transpires between P1 and the race to win. The race for P1 here at the Ricard circuit here today. And what a way this is. Another nail-biting way to end this circuit, it feels like. But be interesting to see if Michael Blom hold on to at least P2 during. I mean, Michael Blom is someone who hasn't had the best of drives as of recent memory, but I think a very good one here today.
Yeah, performing well. Had an incident earlier in the race. He is one of the only 3 drivers on the track that still has to take a mandatory pit stop, but it seems like he's running this thing as hard as he can until then. Second place right now. And our replay for the incident with Wesley
is going to be ready. Oh, and actually you can just see. Yeah, no, I'm not sure if that will get rescinded or not, because it was Antonsen who just lost it. I mean, you can see that reaction. Wesley had no time to react there, so I actually don't think that drive-through penalty is going to come through and stick because of how that incident transpired. And so see on the left hand side of the screen there is no penalty for Wesley there, so that penalty is rescinded by the stewards. Wow. If I was Wesley, if that stuck.
Oh, absolutely. I would have been fuming mad. There was enough punishment that I had to hit the other car. Just of no fault of my own. So good on stewards there for rescinding that penalty. Wesley, no penalty, still in first. Wow, that was scary.
Yeah, our live steering system playing clutch. Our stewards coming in and saving Wesley's race.
Thank goodness.
Now we're going right up into Joffrey Coco Bob's position in P7 now. Still we're just trying to catch up with this Lexus driver, but not able to so far. And it feels like the McLarens, even though they got into fairly high positions, are just struggling to keep pace with the other cars here as Padawan looks to try and send the move down the inside, but not got enough room, and so we'll have to stay in P8 for now. But actually now I say that and it's cursed to cast because Padawan, look at the pace that the McLaren's got, but in the straight line, who has it more, the Lexus or the McLaren? And I think the Lexus does, although McLaren's getting that slipstream this bit by bit catching, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
He's gaining now. Gaining now.
Yeah, now
I don't know if it will be enough.
Now is the game. Bob to see, but I don't think it's enough. It's defensive on the inside from Coco Bob, and yeah, McLaren just doesn't have the pace.
Yeah, and we've seen Nick Padawan struggle all day at the end of the straight, never really able to pass Cruikshank before he got that penalty, but it seems like he's struggling the same way with the Lexus in front of him here now.
Yeah, and I do think there is a bit of confusion as to what happened with Wesley, and I do believe there is well, on you saw at the top of your screen there, it was Alexei Movchad who did have a time penalty, and I believe that Wesley penalty, a notification we had, was actually meant for Alexei Movchan instead of Wesley, so our live system just deceiving us a bit, keeping us on our toes. But yes, Wesley did not get a penalty for that incident with Emil Antonsen. There was nothing rescinded. It was meant to be for Alexei Movchan, who does have that stop and go 30-second penalty.
Lovely, good to have that cleared up. Unfortunate for the BMW driver, but we've seen, my prediction was completely wrong. We don't have a BMW inside the top 10, Matt. All 4 currently running below the top 12.
Yeah, it's not been a great day for BMW. It's been a decent day for Ferrari though, and an okay one for the Porsche, who will be in P2, and he has choked a little bit. Not done too well, but not done too badly either. Been in and around there, and you see Mitchell Cruikshank is going to get a penalty there, stop and go for 30 seconds, so has to relay to the pits now. There's 42 minutes remaining here. Paul Ricard, 70 laps completed by our leader Wesley. On the bottom right, you can see Michel Cruikshank serving that penalty.
Yeah, tough for the Ford driver. Had a really good run going today. Just mistakes have moved him back down the order. He was running, I believe it was 7th and 8th-ish before that penalty in front of Nick Padawan brought him back down, and another one's going to drop him even further down the grid. So not a horrible run, just a couple mistakes have ruined his day.
Yes, indeed. One thing I want to point out as well is Mitchell Blom in that Porsche, the number 2 on the grid, has still got the mandatory final penalty here, and is starting to run out of time to use it, because the end of the pit window is about 22 minutes. I believe it's about 22. It's 157 minutes in the race, which I'm not good at maths. I cast for a job. I am not good at maths. So I'm not sure how long it is. I believe it's about 24 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, 23, 24, yeah.
So Michael Blom needs to move into the pit lane soon, as you see Tom Alex getting a drive-through penalty there.
Dang. He's running in 9th. He's having a really good day today. Hate to see that.
Yeah, not getting the pace that I think was hyped up for the Romanian in Lamborghini, but definitely been an okay return to full grip here.
Yeah, and this battle for 7th and 8th all day today, it doesn't matter who's battling here, it has been a constant fight for P7. Nick Padawan trying to get this slipstream and passing zone near the end of the straight here. I don't believe he's going to have it. That Lexus just has way too much top end speed, even with the slipstream. The McLaren struggling to get up to his inside to make that pass at the end of the straight.
Yeah, and you can see in that little onboard we had with Padawan, just the gears and the top speed not working in favour. But Bob has a nice setup here, and I'd be surprised if we see this in some more races coming up in the full Grip Motorsport calendar, both streamed and not streamed. If you want to get involved in these races, you can register on the Discord as well. You can find that on fullgripmotorsport.com. You can sign up to upcoming events there, you can go into the Discord, or if you want to help out in other ways, such as stewarding the broadcasting. If you're an observer, if you want to help steward, you can also do that as well. Or if you just want to be a watcher, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel now and get all the latest updates from Full Grip Motorsport. But you can see Mitchell Cruikshank will drive through penalties. I'm not too sure what these are coming in for, but they're coming in quite hot heavy for the Canadian driver here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe Well, if it's a drive-through, it's probably a speeding on pit lane, considering he just went in to serve that stop and go. I'm wondering if he didn't get a little too fast on his exit and get himself another drive-through. They going from worse to worser.
That's a word. We also see now the left-hand side of the screen and the bottom right as well. Mitchell Blom taking that final mandatory pit stop with 38 minutes to go. And nice, listen to it, it's already going to be on the overtake for the Porsche. And so, I'll be surprised if this Porsche stays within this top 5, because LS6 and Ricard still have to make the overtake. But I think when you're in the pits, it's much easier to. There's LS6 in the overtake. Is going to be there in just a second as well. So Mitchell Blom may not even be in the top 5 if Tobias and Joe can get a move on.
Yeah, Matt, and Wesley, I believe, has set our fastest lap of the race at a 154.397.
Yeah,
he's fast today.
Losing that title, and you see as well on the left-hand side of the screen, Ricard overtaking Mitchell Blom, who's now on the way out of the pit lane. And I believe it actually has a lap on Toby Issinger, so it isn't going to be too far away. Never mind, Toby Issinger has just made that overtake you saw at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and Jeffrey Kokobom now, as well as Nick Padawan, could be in to try and get past onto Mitchell Blom, but still there's a bit of a gap between them, and by a bit of a gap I mean a hell of a gap.
Yeah, it's going to be a test to see who can make up the most time here in these final 37 minutes. Michael Blom lost 4 spots on pit road there, but still, with the day he's had, especially earlier, it's good to see him leveling out in 6th. Now no more pit stops. It's a straight shot to the finish. Very, very exciting here. Joffrey Kokobov going to try and hold off Mr. Nick Padawan for 7th place.
Yeah, and I believe actually you did see the bottom right side of your screen there as we go through the back straight. I believe we did see earlier Journet go slow on the Mistral straight there. I'm not too sure what was happening there. Maybe it was just a camera trick and Journet was fine. But actually I have just got word from Producer it was a spin from Journet, so spun out getting onto the Mistral straight. So nothing much to be said there. Is Joffrey Kokobov still just going through the motions as they have been for the past, I want to say, hour at least.
Yeah, they've been going at it for a minute. Trading blows, trying to get by. Well, really, not really trading blows. Nick Padawan just trying his best to get around Joffrey Kokobov, but just not being able to make it work or make it stick. That Lexus got this track pretty much figured out, knows where he can and can't run. Not really too close to Michael Blom here, but definitely trying to make up the time. We'll see if Kokobov levels out, stays in 7th place, or if he's gonna run up and try for 6th. Oh, yeah. I believe he can see him out of his front window, so
yeah, I believe only a 4-second
Whoa!
difference, but look how wide Padawan is going to get into P7th as Kokobov loses the concentration and goes very wide. So Nick Padawan has P7 for now, but look how much time that Kokobov is already gaining. And I think it's going to be very difficult for Padawan to keep that P7 position.
Yeah, and I know Kokobov's not happy about that, but he knows that he is pretty much on the same pace with Nick Padawan, and he has an advantage going down the straight. So I don't know if he's too worried about losing that spot. I'm pretty sure he's confident he can get it back, but Nick Padawan, he's been fighting for this one spot for so long, I doubt he'll be very gracious when it comes to getting past.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much of a fight this McLaren puts up, especially seeing how far away Kokobov is for now. Still only a second behind the McLaren as we go into double drop Mercedes now. Heading towards Virage Vendor. Kokobov already, you can see how much time they're gaining just with your eyes. You don't even need to see a time or anything. See 6 tenths
so
per second
quick
now. Probably going to 5 tenths per second. Yep, you just see left hand side of your screen, 5/10, going back up there on to Galabana, heading into Farage de la Tour. Now, it's the question of how long Padawan hold, because I think when you compare these two pace, there's one clear winner, and that's Joffrey Coco Bob, especially considering Coco Bob now has the slipstream advantage.
Yeah, and it'll be very fun to see how fast he can get up going on the straight back here, especially if he can stay near the bumper. He'll have a huge advantage going down the Mistral Straight into turn 7.
Yeah, and we'll now go in towards Farage to the hotel. Now there's a chicane where you just slow right down for, and Rico Bob is still just on the back end, biding the time. 32 minutes remaining in the race, so there's a little bit of time to keep on Nick Padawan. Potentially even use Padawan as a spring boost to try and catch up with Michael Blom.
Possibly. Let's see what they got for us here. Lexus and McLaren screaming down the straight, full song. Oh, he's making up so much time here.
Engines roar completely. Still, Coco Bob is not going to get ahead of Padawan just yet. Big mistake earlier allowed Coco Bob to go in towards P7 as Coco Bob lunges, tries to catch Nick Padawan off guard, and Padawan has fought for so long for this that it's not going to give up that easily. Especially 75 laps in. I don't think it's really a time where you're... I feel like it's one of those things where you've not been doing anything for ages, but the closer it gets to the end, and the more your concentration focus is in, because you know there's something worth fighting for.
Absolutely, and if you're not locked in yet, you better get locked in, because you've only got 30 minutes to make something happen, and to prevent something bad from happening. So lock in. You got 31 minutes and 30 seconds to finish this race out. Go ahead, get it done. Do not lose your concentration.
Yeah, concentration been a big factor so far in this race. We've seen some mistakes from people who have lost their concentration. Antonsen being one of you, I think, is fair to say, although he tried to adopt the more aggressive style of driving and didn't work out too well for the Swedish driver, who has since retired after spinning out and having that incident with Wesley just a few laps ago.
Yeah, Emil Antonsen just had a rough day today. Just a day to forget. Just a couple mistakes, and just didn't really go too well. So completely understandable retirement, completely understandable frustration, and hopefully he can have a better time next week.
Yeah, but here we go. Nick Padawan's going to have Joffrey Coco Bob right on the tail end of that McLaren, but not going to be able to make a move into Corp de Signé, and so has to hold on to the brakes for now. Does Joffrey Coco Bob, and has to wait once again, as all that time that was gained from the V-Style straight is now gone, and has to be fought for once again by Lexus.
And you know, that's so frustrating. We haven't really talked much about the mental game today, but especially in this battle for P7 and 8, it has been just grueling, getting close, trying to get your run, managing your gap. It's just been so tough for these guys to make a pass, specifically in these two positions. And it looks like nothing has changed so far with the battle between Nick Padawan and Joffrey Coco Bob.
Yeah, nothing changed. Both drivers equal to it, as we know. On board for just a second with Joffrey Coco Bob, who's trying to advance McLaren. Just watch the gears go and climb through. This is where Lexus always climbing through those gears on tracks like this. Less so on track like Hungaro Ring, where it is a lot more slower, but on tracks like this, where the word is speed into corners and speed out of those corner exits. Lexus is a very, very solid choice here. I think in some ways definitely not for Wesley, but I think in one way I'm surprised that Lexus wasn't a bit more I think I'm more surprised at how, how Joffrey Coco Bob is underperforming slightly.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if that's maybe setup differences or just driver differences, possibly. I'd really love to see what Wesley has going on his setup for his Lexus and see what is different to Joffrey Coco Bob's.
Yeah, and still just chasing, trying to hold on, or hold on close to Nick Padawan here. You can just see ahead. I believe that was Mitchell Cruikshank in that Ford, and yes, it is. Might be an Easton's. Oh no, that isn't actually, and that is a BMW up ahead. I'm not sure who that is. I want to say that's either Journey, but I don't think it is actually. It might be a bit angle. I believe that is Journey actually, number 25. There's actually Tim Badix, who we've not really spoken about for a while. Tim Shadis Badix, the Belgian, hasn't had too much of an impact this race, currently running a P14 and not doing much in this fight between Coco Bob and Padawan.
Yeah, just going to hop in behind them, ride around, maybe try and catch their slipstream so you don't fall even further behind. But we are riding along here with a Michael Blanc. Right behind Toby Easinger. This is the battle for 5th place.
See bottom right of the screen, Joffrey Coco Bob is finally look at the move now.
Oh, and
see now, Joffrey Coco Bob has finally made that move onto Nick Padawan once again. So that's now gone back to Joffrey Coco Bob in P7th. But look out now, Michael Blom, who's got the pace on Toby Easinger, who's just not able to keep up, but still keeping his nose in as we head towards Corp de Signé now. Trying to run through, but Michael Blom just has that speed and has more than a nose in front. The whole body of the car's in front. Michael Blom gets back into the top 5 at Corp de Signé.
He's got it. That was a great run and pass there by Michael Blom. Just timing it perfectly, getting alongside Toby, making sure he knew he was there, got out in front of him. Bada bing, bada boom. That is 5th place for Mr. Blom.
Michael Blom did take a very late last pit stop, but was needed to happen due to 2 mandatory pit stops, and we had nice weather today. I feel like the weather hasn't had much of a shout today. Me being British, I've obviously got to mention the weather. It's been fairly sunny. Bit of clouds here and there, as you can see now, but very sunny day. I think the drivers are appreciating that as well.
Yeah, 27-degree Celsius track temperature today. Cars gripping pretty hard. Track is nicely warm, not too cold. They're not sliding around too much. These tires are gripping quite nice. Track has not been too bad of a factor today.
Yeah, and you can see us in similar time as well as Blom is actually getting so much on Toby Easinger, and there's only less than a lap now where that move was made, but Easinger is about a second and a half away from Michael Blom. That Porsche speed.
Michael Blom's got pace.
Where was this throughout the other part of the race where we weren't exactly seeing that pace? Maybe it was just getting our pace, but would like to be at more throughout the race as Nick Padawan now is going to try to catch up with Coco Bob, but again, it's going to be so difficult. We've seen how difficult it was before. We saw that Padawan only really got into P7 because of a mistake, so.
Yeah, it looks like the McLaren really tops out on the straight. I'm not sure if it's topping out or it's the aero keeping it from going as fast as it needs to go, but clearly Nick Padawan struggling with the straight line speed. Doubtful he'll be able to catch up to Joffrey Coco Bob within the last 24 minutes here, but we did see Coco Bob make a mistake and not too long ago, so it's for sure possible.
Yeah, but with only 25 minutes to go, even if Coco Bob makes a mistake, I think you'll bet for Coco Bob getting that position back, because we now look at this battle between Stefan van Aert in the Mercedes and Les Journet in BMW. Van Aert is looking to try to prove that the Mercedes is the better engineered German vehicle, but actually Journey has quite a lot of straight line speed, but you've seen so far this race that BMW driver, the Paul Ricard debutant, has made a few mistakes, but now Stefan van Aert is looking to go on the outside here of Virage de Hotel, not going to get this move done into Virage du Camp. It's going to be Journey just about keeping that pace, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the Mistral straight now as we go through Saint-Baume in towards the Mistral straight now, and look how much this Mercedes is gaining on BMW already. And now Stefan van Aert, the Dutch driver, one race at Paul Ricard and one. Not going to do the same today, but it can definitely make a impression here on Ilias Journey now. His rating's going on for some reason, not sure why. But now look how much time
he's got to time it.
He gets the timing, but I'm not sure if there's enough room to do this before Comte de Signy, and there is not. And so Van Aert has to give all that away for now, but definitely a warning sign for Ilias Journey.
Yeah, be on the lookout. I am here. I really loved his timing there. I thought it was great. Just didn't quite have the speed, didn't quite have the run from the slipstream to get up and past him. But a couple more laps like that, give him 1 or 2 more tries, he'll probably get that move done. Pit window also just closed.
Yeah, pit windows you can hear just closing now, so thankfully everyone has done their mandatory business. Actually, you can see a bit of damage onto the spoiler of Ilias Journey there. Not sure where that came from, but as we go through Virage du Pont now, also see how much Stefan van Aert is gaining on Journey, and now this could be a move down through the start-finish line, but Journey defends well, forcing Stefan van Aert away and away from that inside line, forcing them to go very wide on the straight, but Van Aert is braking so late, but Journey still has that inside line, which is just so much better through delivery, and so Stefan van Aert still has to beat P12.
What a battle, though, we're seeing here from the 2 German manufacturers. The AMG, so strong. So is the BMW. It's so fun to watch these 2 go around this track. I think I'll put my money on the AMG coming out on top, though. Especially with that BMW with a little bit of spoiler damage. I think that's really going to hurt his run down through here, swerving back and forth, trying to break up the slipstream, gonna try and block him. Don't run him off the track, buddy. Oh my gosh, he does. AMG, Steven Van Aert dives in right behind. Whoa! A little bit of a bump there.
But here's Mikael Blom to play spoiler now. Look at, and both these cars are gonna have to give up for the blue flag, and so Stefan Van Aert does lose the time onto Journey, and now Journey is the one that has to give up the position to Mikael Blom. Both cars running a bit wide, and Van Aert now running wide into Duberset. Now Journey gives up that space to Blom, but Blom playing spoiler has just saved the position for Ilias Journey, who is thanking the lucky stars that the Porsche comes through at the absolute perfect moment. But look at Stefan Van Aert already gaining that time back, and now Journey is going to be a bit slower because of the Porsche. As we now look at Thomas Alex, who's looking to make a move now onto Geoffrey Coco Bob. I'm not sure where Nick Padawan's got. Nick Padawan's actually losing Geoffrey Coco Bob in front. Now Thomas Alex could be the one to take another position on Geoffrey Coco Bob.
I'm wondering if Geoffrey Coco Bob didn't have another incident. Maybe got a little loose somewhere, something like that, to allow Nick Padawan past. Gael Sarabia
is in the pits.
Oh my gosh, that is not something you wanted to see.
Wow, and so this completely changes up the standing of this race now. Sarabia in the pits allows Toby Islinger to get back into P5. Michel Blom goes into P4, and so the Mexican has now got under 20 minutes to try and get back into that P5, and has even been overtaken by Nick Padawan. It's not great for Sarabia at all, and he's going to be so far away even from Padawan, and could be facing competition from Geoffrey Coco Bob and Thomas Alex, who are just now coming through Virage du Pont into the start-finish straight. You can see now on the back straight as well, here's Steven Van Aert and Ilias Journey. Now who's going to make the move first? It's going to be Van Aert, and look to make the move and get side by side with Journey as we head towards Comte de Signy, but I think Van Aert is going to not have enough for the corner, and Journey keeps that inside line, and so Journey will keep that spot for now, but Van Aert right on the tail end of Journey in the BMW. Almost going a bit wide. Van Aert now has to use that outside line again. Almost going wide, but has that nice run in as we go through to Basset. And almost getting into the side of Journey, but Journey keeps it alive for P11. But as you see him wanting to go forward, wanting to that dive bomb, but it's just not able to be found. So Van Aert's frustration now starting to kick in. As Journey keeps P11 for now, but in towards Virage de la Tour. You can see him wanting to make this move. Now Virage Dupont not able to make this move once again, so has to look at the back end of Journey for now. Could maybe make a move on the start for the straight, but Journey has got a much better exit, and so Van Aert, even though the pace advantage is in the Mercedes' favour here, it's not going to be used just yet.
What a battle we've got here for P11. These two, oh man, especially coming out of that back corner. I really thought the Mercedes was going to have the run down the start-finish straight, but just unable to get the power down when he wanted it. Oh, and look at him searching, looking for any kind of opening that he can take, searching all over this track for whatever grip. Journey taking the most defensive line possible, blocking him off. Matt, what are we watching here, bud? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but now this is where it gets scary on Mistral straight. And look at who's behind him. I believe that's, I'm not sure if that's Marius or Tobias. I believe that is Tobias now. Going to play spoiler once again, and Stefan Van Aert probably slamming the desk in annoyance. Journey is breaking up the slipstream, trying the best to do it, but now both these guys are going to be under blue flags, so now it's going to be interesting to see if Issenjo can play spoiler here. Van Aert is going to make a move on the outside. It's just going to look towards the inside as we go in towards Comte de Signé, and Van Aert has to give up that position to Issenjo. And now Journey will give up as well. Let Issenjo have the inside line, but it's actually going to allow Van Aert to take the inside line as well. And Journey is trying to defend.
Oh my gosh!
And it's wheel-to-wheel racing from both of these drivers, and somehow Journey has kept P11. But still, Van Aert wanting attack after attack now, going forward. I'm not sure if Journey actually went over track limits there. Might be reviewed by the stewards now, forcing Van Aert off the track near enough, and Van Aert goes so wide. Journey has that inside line, takes it, and into Virage Dupont, still going to keep it. Issenjo again, a front marker, playing spoiler with a back marker, but Van Aert looking to try and get the pace down in towards the front at the start-finish line, but not able to have it here.
That is twice that has happened to Stefan Van Aert in the exact same position. You know he's getting frustrated. He feels like he should have this position already, and there are 2 times already when another car has came in and played spoiler. So, is he going to be able to make it? 15 minutes. Battle for 11th. Heating up. I don't know how much hotter it can get, Matt.
I think he can get a fair bit hotter if Van Aert gets removed from the action again, but here we go through Saint-Passon now in towards the Mistral straight again. We've seen Van Aert do this twice, and you know what they say, third time's the charm, and so Van Aert is going to look to try and make it the third time is the charm, and Journey has the heavy job of trying to break up this slipstream, trying to defend against the Mercedes here as we go through the Mistral straight now. And look how much time Van Aert is gaining. Journey trying to stay towards the middle of the track there, and Van Aert chooses to go on towards the outside now, but Journey is going to keep Van Aert away, and so for the third time Van Aert is removed from the action, and Journey gets a bit loose there, and so Van Aert is going to go in, but Van Aert goes so wide, and so Journey's mistake is repaid with almost a mistake from Van Aert, but look how much the Mercedes driver wants it, sending it in towards the Basset, but now into Virage de Bendor. As Van Aert has to come out as the loser once again.
Oh man, it just seems like that AMG is struggling right at the top end. The BMW just has a little bit more speed on that back straight. You saw when he pulled out, it looked like he immediately got bogged down, unable to complete that pass, even with slipstream. So he's right on the bumper now. He's probably going to have to try somewhere else. Maybe not going to get it done at the back of the Mistral straight.
Yeah, but I think the opportunities are coming in so limited, it has to be on the Mistral straight now as Van Aert is looking, trying to fake out Journey in towards turn 1 here. Able to get that pass made, and time to slam on the brakes to avoid a collision with Journey. And so with under 14 minutes to go now, Van Aert is feeling the pressure of the times. We're heading to Virage de la Hotel now, towards Virage du Camp now. And this is where Van Aert has to make this move, otherwise I don't think he makes it at all, especially considering this back wing damage for Ilya Journey as we go through Sampa Zone now in towards the Mistral Straight now. Here we go, will Van Aert make it happen this time? But look how much of a gap there is already between these two. Journey has got power down, and I don't think Van Aert is even going to have a chance of getting it. I think he's just out of the slipstream, and you can see, I mean, the gains are marginal, and I think Journey is able to keep this going in towards Corp de Signé, and yeah, you can see how much of a gap there is between these two.
Yeah, that BMW just has a strong top end on the straight. AMG really isn't going to stand any chance, even with slipstream. So you can see he was sitting in the slipstream there, only gaining maybe hundreds or thousands of a second, even in slipstream. So that BMW definitely has an advantage coming through there. Van Aert around the outside. He's trying to stick it, not going to be able to. My gosh, he's giving it everything he's got, Matt.
And I think desperation now, saying in for Van Aert, if you can't do it on the Mistral Straight, where can you do it? You tried to do it into Virage de Bendor, not happening. Now giving it a go into Virage de la Tour, but not working. Actually, you're losing a bit of ground there into Virage du Pont. You can't make that move because of that early mistake. So now you have to go onto the start-finish line, try and make the move here. Behind you can see Nick Padawan, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can play spoiler in favour of Ilya Journey in a little while. But now in towards the Liveria. Does Van Aert try and make this move? No, but he keeps on the accelerator for as long as he can. Try and get right up to the back of Journey, make it so that Journey cannot defend for as long as the Mistral Straight is going towards Virage de la Hotel. Now we got to go on that right-hander into that left-hander in the chicane towards Virage du Camp. Now Van Aert is getting so close to the back end of Journey in towards Saint-Baume now. Van Aert, this is where he's been losing time, but still managed to keep a lot of it here. And now, as we go in towards the Mistral Straight, now this has to be.
This is his best shot right here, Matt. This is it.
This is the best chance. He has to get this done here, and look how much he's gaining already. And it's barely onto the Mistral Straight now. They has to get it done now. Has to look to make it.
There he goes.
He's not going to do it. It's going to have to be forced onto the outside again. Journey taking that inside line. Look how much straight there is left, but Van Aert is going to do it. There's contact between them. There's a pit maneuver for Van Aert. And Journey and Van Aert have gone spinning out of control.
What a horrible way. Oh, Steven Van Aert just thought he could get maybe inch in behind him again, try and make advantage of that slipstream, just clips him in the left rear, sends them both around. Wow. And
look at Van Aert
he's going to go around once again.
I think there's going to be a penalty for the Mercedes driver here as well. Does that look to be fairly intentional? And, I mean, we'll get a replay. I think Van Aert has got some kind of steering damage because he's just struggling to keep it on. But look from the replay now, Journey and Van Aert. I actually don't know if that was intentional. It looked like Journey actually was the one to get into Van Aert there. We'll just rewind this a second. And I think Journey does get... Yeah, Journey tries to defend, doesn't realise Van Aert has the nose in. And so I think it's more of a racing incident than anyone going into anyone else. But
I believe so.
Big crash, which could have massive permutations for this race, especially if Journey has a similar amount of damage that Van Aert does.
And I know we're not actually in these cars, but for Journey, that was a really hard lick out into that outside wall. That's tough. That car is probably junk. Both probably junk, but especially that BMW.
Yeah, and Van Aert with the drive-through penalty now, but it was going in towards the pits anyway to try and get this damage redone, and for Journey actually into the pits as well. So, damn it, lots of damage for the BMW as well. And so, it is going to be interesting to see how quickly these cars can get out. But yeah, P11 downwards, that's all going to be gone now. And I believe we could be seeing some penalties for either one. I'm not sure if we will end up doing so, but we'll let you know as soon as we get the updates. Meanwhile, we go with Wesley on the Meteor straight now, first place, and definitely a change of pace from what we've just seen.
Absolutely. My heart rate is still up. Watching Wesley, probably got some classical tunes going in that mobile right now, just trying to bring it home through these final 9 minutes. But Matt, those are situations that will happen. You get down to the nitty-gritty final 15 minutes of this race, these guys are going for every single inch. And we saw that there with Jaunet and Van Alst. They're going to put their cars where they can.
I'm not sure if Wesley will be listening to classical music. I mean, all I know about Wesley is Dutch. So when I think of Dutch, I think of, like the hard style, heavy, like drum and bass stuff. So maybe that's more what's going on in Wesley's car. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a message after being like, what do you mean? I like classical music, and so I'll have to apologise. But see, there's Jaunet as well. And also, we did see that drive-through penalty for Stefan Van Aert. That was actually cleared by the stewards because that was for track cutting, as we saw there, but that was cleared by the stewards. So no drive-through penalty for Stefan Van Aert in the Mercedes. So it gets away with it, and Van Aert still in the pits. Jaunet has come out of the pits since then. Van Aert still in the pits getting that damage repaired, because that was a hefty amount of damage. You can see the steering was just completely broken for Van Aert.
Yeah, there was no chance he was going to make it any longer without heading into the pits to get that repaired. And as we can see, the long repair job, obviously that car pretty much toast. There we go, he's coming out now. But that's a long repair time for that guy. And as we watch Wesley, what do you think those chips are about well done now? He's been cooking all race. I think they're about ready to come out of the fryer.
Yeah, it's more than well done, I think, and I think it's so well done in fact that Wesley will be getting our drive of the day, because I don't think there's anyone else really that deserves it from last to first. Sure, there's a bit of hearsay here and there, but actually, Wesley has come in, has been brilliant this race in that Lexus, so I think, from my end, it's drive of the day. What about you, Hunter?
I think I got to go with my man, Wesley. I mean, in the 2 races I've seen him run, just master classes, back to the front, twice in a row. Wesley, my man, in my favorite car, driver of the day, Wesley.
And you actually see there at the top of your screen another thing to note. Jaunet is going to get a time penalty for that collision with Stefan Van Aert. So the stewards are leaning towards Van Aert with that. And look at this from Jaunet, is going so slowly. I'm not sure if there's an issue with the car or what, but I mean, Jaunet has just gone into the pits to get it fixed. So I don't know what this is. There has to be an issue, because Jaunet is driving so slowly. And yet, somehow...
Oh, look at him. He's... What is going on?
I don't know. It doesn't look like there's any obvious damage on the BMW. And it's not gone in for the pits, so... I'm not sure what that's about. I mean, it looks to be getting the pace up now, so maybe... It was... I genuinely don't know. Is Jaunet just going slow? Maybe just annoyed about that time penalty. Had the hands off the wheel for a second. It looks still going slowly. So there has to be an issue with that BMW, but I'm not sure what. Is this a fuel issue? Surely not. It's another fuel issue, right?
I couldn't say.
Yeah, the car's
sounds
slowing
like
down. It's not a fuel issue.
Maybe he's just taking it easy. He's got 5 minutes remaining. Maybe he's just trying to get it home. I'm not sure. He's not going fast at all. Look at this. There we go. He just put his foot down.
He's not really putting his foot down if he's on 30. He's getting out of the way for a while. I think he's still be arguing this is unsafe driving. This is slow. He's playing on the straight. So this is
there we go. 5th gear now. Oh!
Go past, and I think it was actually just letting Van Aert go. So nice bit of sportsmanship there between Jaunet. So fair play, just letting Van Aert take 12th place. So I think this is one of those top 10 respect moments. in most.
That was awesome. That's very good to see, especially he got the penalty for the collision as well, letting the guy that was also in the incident with him by. That's just great sportsmanship. Elio Janet gets my sportsmanship award for that. I don't believe he had to do that either. So, very awesome to see Elio Janet.
No, done it off his own back, and that's what we pride ourselves here at Full Grip Motorsport. If you want to get involved, you can go to fullgripmotorsport.com, sign up to the Discord, and upcoming events in the future. As well, you can help steward out and become part of our broadcast team if that is what you want. Maybe become an observer, or as we said, steward, as we have mentioned before, the live stewarding in our races, and you've seen a lot of these penalties come out today from our stewards. Big thank you to those guys sacrificing their time to be here today as we go back with Marius Issenger, 40 seconds away from Wesley, but a long way away from LS6 this time. And Issenger, I think, is actually singing the praises that you're far away from LS6 this time and not in the battle, because we saw at the Hungaroring how much Issenger was just being pushed.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. And it's really cool to see these two come in right beside each other again. Marius Issenger winning this battle, but Wes Lee coming home winning the war today. Very exciting. And LS6, I mean, come on. It's so impressive. The only 2 races so far that I've seen them run, but in both, top 5 almost the entire time. Looking like it's going to be a P3 for LS6 today. A great showing. Just and honestly, the whole race today, just really fun. Great race.
Yeah, well, providing any sort of mischief in these final 2 minutes, it will be back-to-back 3rd place finishes for LS6 in the Ferrari, the first of the Hungaroring, now at the Paul Ricard circuit here in France. And you can just see there on, of course, all the back bumper there is Thomas Alex there, who is currently running P10, rounding out that top 10 position in that Lamborghini. Has struggled a bit today on the return to Full Grip Motorsport, but top 10 finish, it's something to bring home. It's not great, but something.
Yeah, finishing in the top 10, especially today, is pretty good. I wouldn't praise it. I wouldn't say any of that, but bring it home, top 10, get your points. Especially around a track like Paul Ricard, man. Just being able to finish this race hopefully on the lead lap. If we don't count Wesley, nobody else is really close to him. But most of these guys have done a bang-up job today, specifically all the way up to, I'd say even Mr. Kokobob, down to 8th. Top 8 have ran really well. Top 3, our highest scoring car not being the Lexus. We got 3 Ferraris in the top 5, so clearly Ferrari strong around this track today.
Yeah, there's been a wide variety of cars today, wider than we've seen in some of our other races. I think, honestly, from my point of view, it's been the best race to watch so far.
This was absolutely, drivers did great, didn't really have any massive incidents apart from turn 1 on lap 1, which we expect, that happens. But just a great race, great showing by all of our drivers today.
And you can see now, clock ticking down in the final 20 seconds of the Paul Ricard circuit here. Here now, leader on the final lap to get it all that each driver can. I don't think there's going to be too many battles coming in towards the end here, but a good showing today as that time runs dry, and so we'll go back on board with Wesley, who is in P1, is heading through the final few corners now, actually, as we are heading towards that start-finish line as we go round about Raj de Bandor. Never mind, he has to do another round. This will be the last lap. He's just started the lap, and so I'm completely forgetting which part of the track we are on as we go down the Misra Straight. It was actually the hotel now, not at Raj de Bandor just yet, but we'll get there in about 3 seconds. You can already see Wesley side by side, already celebrating the win. 44 seconds ahead of Marius Issenger, so this should be providing a miracle. Marius Issenger, a Wesley win. Although it would be funny if we had a a Car's X situation where it's like McQueen and they get tire punctures, and so he's having to like pull to the finish line. Maybe that's just me being old. And
I'd love to see Wesley sticking his tongue out across the finish line.
Maybe he'd do that anyway. Maybe he just does that. Maybe he does that for every race. Maybe that's the like every time he goes after lap 1, he just sticks his tongue out every time he goes past the first
the Wesley special.
And that's why he gets so much speed into these corners. But going through now, Virage de la Tour and Virage du Pont. Here is Wes coming onto the start-finish line. Ladies and gentlemen, the Paul Ricard French 180 Grand Prix for Grip Motorsport has now been won by Wesley, who takes home that P1 spot in her Lexus. A return to form for what many people might say is the king of full grip motorsport racing.
Yeah, Matt, absolutely wonderful race today. Wesley just putting on a show. That's his specialty, man. Back to the front, coming in with a W, 46-second gap to Marius Isinger. Just insanity. Just a man, I don't even have words. Sergio Vincio and Wesley are the two best drivers I've ever seen in sim racing, and these guys know how to put on a show. Sergio Vincio, of course, had some troubles today, but Wesley bring it home in P1.
Yeah, a P1 finish has really just shown again what Wesley can do when he is locked in on these races. If we see the final few drivers finishing up there, you saw L6 and Thomas Alex come through the start finish line as well, and you see in the distance, we'll try and play a guessing game of who's who. I believe that is Alexei Movchan now in the BMW coming forward. It is indeed, so we'll watch on the start finish line. We'll see which cars come through Virage du Pont, and there is another one. I believe that is Michel Blom coming in that Porsche. Let's see if I'm right. No, it is. It's Michel Blom in the Porsche. Let's see how well I can do here. That is, I'm not sure. So that's Toby Essinger. There we go. I believe that was Samuel Engel who was in front. There's Nick Palawan, and behind him there is Tim Shadis Badex. And as well, we're waiting for one more. It's actually in the pits. It's Lotus Lucian in the pits, and that's where they will finish. So to give a rundown of your French 180 Grand Prix, Wesley comes out in P1, your winner of this race. Marius Isinger following in P2. In P3, back-to-back third-place finishes for L6 there. P4, Michel Blom in the Porsche. P5, Toby Isinger, the other half of the Isinger brothers in that Ferrari. P6, Nick Padawan in the McLaren. P7, it will be the one and only Geoffrey Kokoba in P7. P8, we do have Sandro Jacquenet, whose FGM debut is a good 8th place finish in P9.
Very good.
Thomas Alex in that Lamborghini return for the Romanian. P10, Gael Sarabia, the Mexican, who probably will be reminiscing a bit that could have done better. Mitchell Cruikshank in P11th in the Ford for the Canadian. Stefan van Aert finishes P12. Ilya Journet P13 as well. And you also see Alexei Mochan in P14, Samuel Engel in P15, Lucian P16. We also have great bells, and especially this.
Turn 1. Obviously, just a mess. It's always a mess at some of the start of these races. You know somebody's going to go around. It's like a can of worms. Good night. Oh, and Wesley cutting it up. My goodness, what a dodge. We got Jeanette. Sergio Vincio, this is his spin.
Caused by Toby Isinger there, and this is the four-way battle between Sarabia, Isinger, Vincio and Blom, and there's the spin from Michel Blom onto Toby Isinger there.
Yeah, that's what initially put him further in the back. Oh, and this was Nick Padawan. I didn't even realize this happened.
Yeah, did not see that on screen. Is Wesley, and this is the contact
Oof.
early on. Yeah, this is Vincho running out of fuel on the restart straight.
Yeah, and that was crazy to see. My pick to win runs out of fuel.
I honestly thought we were both going to leave that silent there, because honestly, I think that was just my reaction throughout most of the race when I saw that.
Yeah, just slack-jawed, in awe. And here, about 15 minutes to go, the wreck. I believe they were fighting for 11th place, yeah, between Jeannet and Van Alst. And there we see Wes
Across the
Lee
finish line.
bringing it home. Very excited, obviously.
I will catch you at Alton Park.
Thanks, guys.